with us. There we are.
Hey, everybody. Sorry we're a little bit late. Welcome to episode 28 of Powerbombshells. We're just two broads talking about the wrestling we watched. In tonight's case, it'll be the AEW pay-per-view.
Three broads. Oh, sorry.
The three broads. Yes, we have an
We're
honorary.
getting to that.
We have an
She was
honorary
getting
broad
to
with
it.
us this week.
We have the original honorary broad.
That is correct.
One of the two
That is-
original.
We need to. That needs to be his nameplate. Is the
Him
original?
and he's one of our. I actually made the joke, Jeff, and I think you'll appreciate this. I told her that you are our first diversity hire. So
I'll take it.
Jeff first. One of the two original honorary Powerbombshells with Keela Cash from the rap over there.
I'll take that.
This opening is killing it right now.
Yeah.
Love it.
Welcome. I'm over here trying to tweet
Right on
this
time.
out. Yeah,
So-
I hear apparently there's some things happening on the scrum. I think Punk is doing a in character as a heel. It sounds like. Yeah, because Brad just said, I was about to jump in, but this Punk post-show scrum is incredibly newsworthy and insane. I was like, I've seen some screenshots. Because I saw something come in from Slack, and I thought it was going to be a Fightful Select type thing. No, just some very unhinged Punk things. I guess he's gone full heel, and his character is.
He was angry at them chanting MJF, and I suppose it's.
No, he's going off about Colt Cabana because somebody made this.
Oh,
Somebody asked him about Colt, and he has gone off. That's what that from what I've seen so far. Yeah.
Maybe we're doing him a favor by distracting him and talking about tonight's card.
I have a friend who's watching. He's like, "How can Punk be angry while eating what looks like a chocolate chip muffin?" And I guess
He's not Tony Khan.
It's not his popsicle. I mean, his ice cream bar. So maybe that's why he's mad. Yeah, this is why I should not be tweeting on air. But I was tweeting a viewer, so. And I could read them, but
so thanks for almost joining us. If Punk hadn't gone.
Damn it, Punk! You're messing with our views because clearly everybody's clamoring to come watch this. Damn it!
If he and Colt would just hug, this would be over.
Yeah, I can't. When I was reading this, I asked if it was real, but now that Brad is saying,
here it is. Are you
happening? Yeah,
Are you friends with Scott Colton? Reporter says no. That makes two of us.
Yes. So that's what started it. Could that be a plant to get this going? Would they have maybe been like, we need to kick this character off?
It either that or it's somebody with credentials for the first time who thinks he needs to be an edgelord. I can't tell, to be honest with you.
Yeah, this is unhinged. I could read all of these, but then I've been told to please watch it. As Brad says, please watch it as soon as you can.
Our locker room for all the wisdom and brilliance it has isn't worth shit when you have an empty-headed idiot who's never done anything in the business do public interviews and say, well, I don't really take advice.
Yeah.
Who the F do you think you are? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, see, I saw Punk calls the
God.
He called out the EVPs for planning the stories, says they couldn't manage a target, says they should have fucking known better. They shouldn't have done that. He understands sticking up for his friends. He used to for Scott Colton. Punk is now shitting on Paige for going into business for himself with that promo. We're far beyond apologies, and Paige jeopardized $1 million house here.
All right, this feels like work. Feels like work.
Yeah, that's why I'm at. That's because that's the very first question was about Colt, and it sends him into that tirade. This feels like they're trying to get him. They're turning him heel. So, is MJF the babyface here? Guess that's what's happening. Yeah, so good times. So please don't go watch that. Listen to us, and then you can watch about that. You can watch that.
Yes.
Damn it, Punk. As I wear my Hangman Page shirt. All right.
Hey,
Hello.
Adam.
Hello. Thanks for coming to watch us and not CM
Thanks
Punk.
for
Unless you've
joining
got
us.
maybe you got
Not
multiple
to watch
screens.
in the scrum. When
By the time
your
we're
buddy
done with this
here.
Punk story, Paul will be here, so it'll be great.
Yeah. Maybe we're just killing
there we
time
go.
for.
Thanks.
Yeah. So
Thanks
I guess,
for reminding us that if he feels ready to jump on when he gets ready to, we may be joined by ROH historian Grandpa Daz himself.
Adam is correct. You wanna? Here, I guess I can pop that.
Yeah, you pop this one.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
yes.
God, can you imagine
a sports psychologist?
That's what their shows can be about. Their reality show can be about is them all going.
Please don't have a reality
therapy.
Show. There's enough reality shows.
No.
I really hope.
Fake reality shows are just
no.
Here's a contrived situation.
Wait, fake reality.
Even Danielson was talking about like one of the last when he did the they brought back the not technically talking smack, but when he was on Renee's her show a few weeks ago, the live show that they did during I think it was during Ric Flair's last match or whatever, and she did a show and had him on, and he was talking about how much he hated how much he hated doing Total Bellas because it was so he was like they would script fights that would turn into real fights, and now he would just like walk off.
Well, it's interesting because if you look at the production credits, there's always at least one stand-up comedian from like the early 90s who used to do all those like one-night stands or whatever. So it's like people that I kind of knew when I was first starting. It's like Sue Kalinsky, Jeff Stilson, a bunch of other like stand-up comics where you're just like, oh, so that's what they decided to do. They decided to go in there and make contrived situations for vapid fame whores. All right, great.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I have a friend who did a stint on a couple of shows, and we got our good and solid. Our group got our good and solid. Oh, yeah. They definitely set you up and put you in these positions and tell you to make it more, get more in her face about it. And it's just like, what?
It's funny.
Which is why I laugh at people who tell me that wrestling's fake. And I'm like, okay, go back to your housewives then. Bye.
To Adam's point, I don't think they need a couple therapists. They just need that one guy in the locker room who's just going to come up and you don't want to F with. And it's like, stop messing with our money. What's your problem? We're all here to make money.
That sounds like what CM Punk was trying to tell Paige was don't mess with our money. So
he does not strike me as the person who has the personality.
Not so much.
I would not bring. No, that was
not that, but more like Haku.
Yeah,
nobody's got F with
Haku. What a great example.
Yeah, I think a lot of today's wrestlers are highly against Wrestlers Court too because it was just a lot of
bullying.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and not.
Yeah,
like if you read the Gewurz book that's out, he talks about he was taken to Wrestlers Court for taking an action figure from Edge who went to a Comic-Con and knew how much he loved the Flash, and it's just like.
A mediator, yes.
Mediator's good. Paul Fontaine!
Hey, I didn't miss too much.
There it is. He put it in his bubble. I didn't even need to put it in there. He is on top of this stuff. Yeah. It's ROH historian, Paul.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Happy to be here.
Joining us. We're getting distracted by the potentially punk and kayfabe media scrum that's all over the Twitter machine right now. So
that's absolutely wonderful. It's Bizarro World this weekend.
It is. It's a lot going
on. The punk presser is officially over, and as one person says, I've never seen anything like that in my life.
Yeah, it sounds like he did what they were going for, whatever that was. I guess I'll have to go back and watch it, which now means now that our ROH historian has joined us, and the punt presser is over. I guess maybe we can get to this show.
So what happened on the punt? Like, is he like he's a heel now, right?
That's I think
Yeah.
the
It
whole
feels
point
that
of
way.
this. It feels like this was a setup to turn him heel. The very first question was about Colt Cabana.
Oh yeah.
And asked him if he was friends with Scott Colton, and he asked the reporter that if he was, and the reporter said no, and he said that makes two of us, and kind of went on from there. But he was saying some other kayfabe. I think this was a whole thing to turn him heel, but a very interesting. I don't know what's happening.
Well, the Chicago crowd was ahead of it.
Well, there's a clip of 3 seconds that I'm just watching over and over, and I'm watching Tony's face while he does it. Punk saying, "I'm hurt and I'm old and I'm fucking tired and I work with fucking children," and Tony's just I've made a huge mistake.
Somebody
Not hugging
replied
him tonight, are you, Tone?
Somebody asked me in my Twitter, and he actually looks like he deleted the tweet. Do you still think MJF is supposed to be a babyface? Yes, Larry, absolutely, 100%.
Yes, and I think that's another reason they're
yeah.
doing. I think that's another reason they're doing the heel presser with Punk is because MJF is the babyface this time. Finally,
Are we 100% sure Punk isn't just a big piece of crap? And that's
I mean, there's some asshole things, but I don't
being.
think it's as James.
James Where is it? Where is it? Where is
Tell
it?
James, James, yes, we've spent the first 11 and a half minutes of this talking about the scrum. So, so yes.
No, you know what? CM Punk is a hell of a guy.
No, it's okay. If you were watching the James, it's cool. We were listening to everybody else tell us about it.
We were reading tweets.
Yeah.
At first I thought he was trying to be like, because he heard us talking about it. And I thought that's what and I was like, oh wait, now I see what he's saying. So sorry, James.
See, I'm just saying. Maybe it's not a work for him.
I think there are some asshole things, but I think he's playing it up, and I think there's a lot more that's going on with this. But I think, So
there's a little bit of other news going out now.
What's that? Is it the stuff about Malachi?
Yeah. It looks like he's going to be taking some time off for a while at least.
Good for him. I hope he. Yeah, I read after I saw a few tweets after the match that he after the match he bowed and blew a kiss to the crowd and walked away. So I hope that there had been some, and of course there had been some talk that, maybe he was having some mental health issues that he needed to get taken care of. So I hope that he is happy and healthy and does whatever it is that he needs to do to get that way. So I'm glad that he's taking care of himself and however he needs to.
I'm glad that we live in a time when he can just take time off and then be back with the group if he wants to later. Like if he decides to come back on his terms, that he can come back at the same group of folks and enjoy the same level of like push and importance.
Right. It's not going to hurt him to take the time off. They're not going to punish him and all that crap. So that's nice.
And poop all over him in his wake.
Yeah. Right.
Great.
Right.
Good stuff. Yes. All right.
So was there anything else with that, Jeff?
No. I just he posted something on his social media.
Did he?
That's a little.
You gotta leave something for tomorrow to talk about. Come on.
True.
We can't break all the news and steal it all from everyone.
Well, there's 800 matches on this pay-per-view to talk about too. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, should pop this up here. James is. Yeah, I agree with that. It's maybe the first time that this has ever happened with a major organization. So that, and they have been open about being supportive of mental health, and sounds like it's not just to say the right things and to say pretty things. It sounds like they actually mean it. So that's nice to see, especially in the spot that he was in. House of Black has been going pretty strong for a while. And, we can see him, and even like it goes back to, Mox obviously took some time away to get his stuff straightened out. Hangman Page left at probably the hottest time in his career to go to be be there for his kid's birth. And, he was right back, and him and Mox both, they've both been right back and been, used pretty frequently and stuff like that. It's not like they were pushed to the back of the line. And so that's nice to see a company that will do that.
MJF went home to count his money.
He did. And he got more, so he's going to be counting some more.
Apparently.
He has an old school answering machine apparently too.
Yes, that
God, that
was great. Which
I'm listening to that and I'm like, I know that voice.
Yeah, it took me a second. Yeah, it took me a second. I was like, oh, that's Tony.
Yeah. Well, you would know.
I had that voice on Thursday.
Yeah, yeah, and in that same tone.
Good job, by the way. On
that. In that same tone. Yeah, that was quite. That was quite a response.
He did not like that question at all.
He didn't, but you know what?
That's okay. He didn't answer it.
No, he answered. No, he didn't, and that was because obviously they mute you after you ask the question, and my sister was in the room, and we were both listening, and at the end. When he said, but you can have whatever opinion you want, and my sister sent me a GIF, and actually before she sent me the GIF, she was sitting in there. She was like, "It's like that thing from Rocky Horror," and it's like you can have you and your wrong opinion.
Yeah.
I just imagine him doing this, hitting the mute button, going.
Yeah.
All right.
Probably. But listen, if you're not going to fix your women's division, you're going to continue to get these questions and you're going to have to answer them.
I told someone that I was happy that you asked that question because I was on the call and when I heard the parameters, I hung up. And then like you had the balls to ask that question, and that's the question I wanted to ask.
How did my tips go over for you on asking a question like that?
Well, like I said, I hung up.
Not you. I meant him.
Oh.
I meant Sam.
Yeah, I had already. Well, this was the question that I had already planned to ask.
Okay.
I wasn't sure how I was going to word it. Like I kind of had been thinking about it, and then I was like, well, and I always try to have a backup question in case obviously somebody asks something similar, which clearly in this case nobody else was going to ask the question. But yeah, but I think you were right that, having to handle him, you can't handle him like he's your friend.
Right.
And I have, and there's somebody, Kevin Pavisi, he was my site editor at Daily DDT, and now he's over at a new site, Let Them Wrestle, that I'll be writing for soon. And he, one thing that he always brings up is billionaires are not your friends.
No.
No matter how much they seem like, I mean, we've even had, my sister and I've had that conversation about David Tepper, who was the owner of the Panthers. They're like, people are like, oh, look the way he dresses. He dresses just like us. And then we see some of the crappy things he's done the last year that have been very questionable.
Yeah,
it's just a reminder: billionaires are not your friends.
that end, you can't just give them general. You have to get specific with them. And when you get into the weeds, then they'll start to squirm. And then it's like, it's like, Tony, how do you feel about your women's division? Well, we're working real hard to blah, blah, blah. It's like, hey, Tony, on last week, you had 5 minutes worth of wrestling.
Right. Yeah, and that's why I kind of framed it the way that I did. I didn't want to just frame it as, I just was like, I wanted to frame it that way first. Like you, Thunder Rosa, no matter what you think of her as a champion, you gave her literally a minute. Her segment fit inside of a Twitter video. It is not even on the YouTube channel because I looked the other day for an article that I wrote an article about the Thunder Rosa situation so I could get the full, and that was another reason I wanted to get that out. I wanted to get the full quote out because Sean Ross Sapp was doing just like, the rest of us do, where you're limited to, 220 characters or whatever. And so people were only getting a segment of what was said. And so I was like, no, I want the full thing, even though we did have to cut out the part where he started talking about MJF and Kyle O'Reilly. I mean, not MJF, Mox and Kyle O'Reilly, because he was saying his point was that he was criticized for that too, which I actually agreed with that. Kyle O'Reilly should have been in that match because he could easily take the L and the match was good. But he was in there talking about how he's gone back and rewatched it. And he was talking about moves they did and just like rambling, which he does. But it is also like he just was not quite answering the question, it was sort of a 2-part question. And yeah, so it turned into that. And then, people can make what they want of it. A lot of people were saying that he buried Thunder Rosa. I'm not saying whether he did or he didn't, but if you read the the quotes, but if it's one thing reading it but to hear it come from his mouth is quite.
I listened and he buried her.
Yeah.
Points for honesty, but at the same time, honesty not always the best policy.
No, because and that's what I was saying. She was at the meet and greet yesterday. So
but he buried her, but in a sense, the way he framed it, it was almost like he was burying you by suggesting that that's what, and that's not what you were doing.
Yeah.
But that's
and
what
that's why I also,
made, yes.
Go
yeah.
ahead.
No, he's like, what, are you an idiot? Because like, you think I do that? That's kind of the question he asked. And you didn't even say that.
No. And that's the thing. Like I put the question.
Yeah, that's the thing that bothered me was when he latched onto that 8-minute, he was very focused.
Completely
almost somebody who was angry in an argument who latches on to the thing that they heard that pissed them off in the argument.
And we've seen him do that
and then
before.
kept sort of spitting it back
many times.
And because that was the thing that I thought was the most interesting. I didn't realize what was going on until everything was blowing up. Because I get on some days I don't get on my Twitter, and then I get on it and I'm like, what have you people done?
I didn't even know about it.
It was funny because a friend of mine, he asked me, he said, well, how did you piss off Tony Khan? And I, told him, explained what happened to him. And he was like, that started because of you. I saw people talking about something yesterday about Thunder Rosa and 8 minutes. And he was like, I don't think anybody expected her to get 8 minutes. I was like, I didn't expect it. That wasn't the point. The point literally was you have two champions who are both having to give up, their titles, and you're going to have an interim experience for that in two very different ways. And so, Josiah, throw me off here, buddy. Just kidding.
I'm sorry.
This was me as soon as I heard the question. Oh, here we go.
But yeah,
this is my fault, Josiah, because
I saw it in the corner. I saw it pop up, and I lost my train of thought a little bit. But yeah, so that was an experience, and I stand by my question. He answered it how he wanted to, and he took it the wrong way and took it into this whole big thing, which was not the point. And I asked when my other part of the question was, this match seems thrown together, when earlier, a few questions before, somebody said, how did this match come together? And he's like, well, it came together pretty quickly. Well, no shit. You put in 3 people who've been feuding for months and a former champion. Yes, you could have, if you thought about it a little bit more, but he told me he didn't have time to think about it because he found out the same day. So,
how did this match come together? Well, I wrote it on a piece of paper and I decided to be a match. That's great, buddy. That's a great answer.
I rolled my 20-sided die and I rolled a 6 and I looked at my sheet.
I have those
that's
here.
Britt Baker.
Plus
I rolled a
for
9.
initiative. Here we go.
Yeah.
And my mic is already trying to peace out.
I've got that here. I've got a big one.
See, there you go. You got the dice.
It's the Tony Khan official decision making.
Josiah wants us to recap the show.
Thank you. I was just
we should.
All right, fine.
But yeah, so what I was gonna say was the men got they got a whole ass tournament that included people from New Japan.
Yeah.
And the women are getting a 4-way thrown together last minute. And, I get having a title match at the pay-per-view, but you could have given them a tournament, started it here and ended it at Grand Slam. Especially because Grand Slam was already supposed to have one women's title change. It's supposedly that that was where Chris Statlander was supposed to win. So you could have done it there. And I think thank you, Josiah. I appreciate that. I thought it was fair too. Whether Tony didn't, but that's fine. But he's gonna, like I said before, he's gonna continue to get these questions until he does something about it, and he's gonna have to come up with a better answer.
Well, you can have your opinion, Sam. Okay.
Wait, what is this over here? Oh,
I'm looking. You keep doing what you were.
Yeah.
doing.
So
I'm
yeah. So that's my story with that. I haven't. It doesn't look like I've been banned from
Sam. That's how Sam pissed off Tony Khan this week.
I think in terms of this, I do think they're working the sheets.
Yes.
I think that's all. I think this is all that they're working their little central.
Even that FTR stuff this weekend felt like they were working the sheets
with the lawyer and
Oh wait, I missed this somehow. What happened?
Sean Ross Sapp.
Oh, here, let me pop that back on. Oh no, you what now?
It's okay, Mike. You're doing good.
No, Sean Ross Sapp said that FTR had sought out a lawyer asking for the release.
What?
Oh,
yeah.
Why? When they have titles from.
That's what I said, and then he has his daughter on the pay-per-view tonight. Like, that's why I say they're working the sheets.
Yeah, they've got to be, and they're probably at some point they're probably going to win the AEW Tag Team Champions while they've got the other three, so they're going to have all of the championships. And aren't they they're going to the UK to wrestle in New Japan? They've already been announced for the UK show with New Japan. So yes, Punk is a smart man and he knows what he's doing. Yes, I 100% agree with Jim Valley. Yeah, I did see that too.
This is really.
Yeah, I saw that too. That was one of the tweets that I read before Paul got here. Like,
wow.
This is a work. It's gotta be.
I mean, he's right.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, they would never. No one's ever worked the sheets ever in the history of all of wrestling.
My first clue was when Punk said, "Tell Dave Meltzer to print that." It's
yeah. Like, yeah.
How many stars does my scrum get, bitch?
Oh, stop the podcast. We're not going to top that.
Yeah.
It's just so.
I gotta watch this press conference. Is this on YouTube or something? I gotta watch.
No, we should recap the show and then we'll recap the scrum later.
Where's your camera and your microphone? We're about to pop you in and let you.
Josiah's about to start cussing like a sailor. That's the thing that's scaring me right now.
Yeah.
Good Christian
we dropped our one F-bomb for the night. So
I already did.
Demonetization here.
Well, I've dropped it too. So we're not even a half an hour into the show. Yeah, I saw that too, Josiah. That's what clued me in that it was. I know that they don't like each other, but that clued me in that it was a work.
Oh,
as soon as
that's gotta be it. Yeah. Nope, this is it. We found it. We figured it out.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's never happening. That's not happening.
We got to the bottom of it.
Josiah. Josiah says he will not be joining us.
Look at the two guys on the bottom. I mean, you can't look any worse than we do.
This is all the sex appeal we already talked about.
Yeah, well, I look terrible because it's 112 in my apartment because my AC is conked out in the San Fernando Valley.
Oh no! That's terrible. Yeah. I'm sorry.
That's quite right.
We lost power because we had the weirdest storms ever in the history of my time here in Michigan.
Josiah, if you would like to join us, you can.
I'm basking in the glory of my Winnipeg air conditioning. So.
Yeah, I have the fan going.
Yeah.
No, ours is back. It's back. Thank goodness.
Glad.
We aren't some of the families here lost for a long time.
So 0 hour.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so 0. So there was a show tonight. It was called All Out.
Yeah,
it was in not actual Chicago, but in the greater Chicagoland area.
Yes, at the site of
JD.
So the 0 hour obviously was the name of this one on the media call. He said that he wanted to use it just because he thought it would be it was kind of a throwback to All In because that's what the original thing was called. He's talking about maybe only using the buy-in at Double or Nothing only now because obviously the link to that. And then he has used 0 hour for both of the pre-shows for the ROH shows that have been under him since he's been here. I like the name 0 hour. I think it's cool. So That's what he wants.
I don't know. It seems cooler than buy-in for some reason.
Yeah, I think the buy-in works only with Double or Nothing.
So,
they could call it the pre-show and just eliminate all that other stuff.
Listen, they don't do anything boring like that.
Yeah. Are you gonna be like this the whole night?
It's just so ridiculous. Well, I call it zero hour because it sounds cool. Blah, blah, blah. It sounds better than the buy-in. How about you just call it the pre-show?
No,
It's before the show.
he's trying to make it.
Why don't we just call them premium live events?
Yes.
No. No.
It is silly what people get hung up on.
So how about that?
So
opener?
anyway, there were some actual. There were some.
Yeah.
Actual.
So I guess we'll actually talk about the matches. So the very first,
We have
the
to.
best recap show ever.
so the first match gets started with probably giving Sammy some terrible flashbacks because there was a golf cart coming for him. This time Matt Hardy was not in it. It was Ruby and Ortiz coming to interrupt. They started the show like they were doing an interview, and then it was actually just the beginning of the match to set them up. And Sammy and Ty got ran down by Ruby and Ortiz. And then it finally spilled over into the ring, and I think it was Tony. Was it Tony? Somebody made a comment about how this match is only 5 minutes in. I was timing it because it had women in it. It had been 3.5. It had been like 3.5 minutes at this point.
Someone in production taking shots at Sam. That's all I'm saying.
Probably.
He's probably counting from the start of the interview.
I think he was, but he said in the match, and I was like, no, we're like 3.5 minutes in. We still got a ways to go. Not that much longer, because I think the match only ended up being like 6 minutes. But yeah, so what did you think about this, Jeff?
I actually liked the way this started. It was a little weird at first, but it's like, okay, cool. This starts with action. Everybody was into it. Ty Mello just my lasting impression is that last shot in the face of Ruby Riott. Nailed her hard. I was just like, oh.
Brian Alvarez tweeted that her nose was broken.
Oh, no kidding.
And that's a problem with Ty. I mean, she's still
the Ty KO.
Yeah.
Yeah, but overall, I enjoyed it. I thought it was, perfectly.
Yeah, I like the
disposable match.
Somebody was talking about Ortiz's gear, not what was written on the side of him, but the blue and the black, and how it was a tribute to Taka Michinoku. And they had a picture of him from sometime in the 90s, I want to say. I can't remember. I'll have to find the tweet. But I saw somebody asking. I think it was Alex that's Queen of the Ring. I think she's the one who asked, and she had a picture, and several people said yes. They thought that was a tribute to that. And then they also had the Bull Nakano and Aja Khan, thank you. Face paint, which I thought was really cool. I thought that and I think that kind of set a tone for Ruby and Ortiz and what they're doing. And, Ortiz and Santana were wearing a lot of face paint for their bigger matches and things like that. So that kind of, I think, set the tone for them. And I thought I really enjoy them as a team. I know Tony doesn't do a whole lot of mixed tag team matches, but they're really fun. I like them together. Paul or Mel, do you have anything you want to add to this match?
No, I think that
I made a comment a couple weeks ago that I thought these Ty Sammy matches were a lot of fun and that they should have these tag team titles as regular parts of the show. I wasn't so sure about that after this match. I agree with Jeff that I kind of liked the way it started and it was different and it felt like fresh and stuff, but the match itself didn't really do it for me. As far as but again, it was what it was supposed to be. It was whatever, a 7-minute, I assume, pre-show match. That was fine.
I think it, like you said, it kind of got the action started, and it played into some of the sports entertainment side of JAS, but then it also was the throwback to the Stadium Stampede match with the golf cart and things like that. So that was a nice little callback. So I thought it was, especially for a match that kind of got thrown on last minute. For this match wasn't announced until Rampage, and so Yeah, and so I guess, and it was interesting. I don't think this was the purpose, but the 0 hour was bookended by Sammy and Eddie Kingston. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but I just thought that was kind of interesting. And I do want to mention, I forgot that I have this. I had this in the notes. We were 6 minutes and maybe 6 minutes into the show, and I got a Canadian destroyer. So
yes, that's what I was like.
Canadian
as soon as that happened, I was flipping out. I was like, Sam, oh my god!
And it wasn't the last one.
I love a Canadian destroyer. I don't care if they're overused. I don't care. I love them. I will take all of them. I love Dustin destroyers. I love the Code Red. Give them all to me. I don't care. And I got 2
awesome.
and we'll get to that, but I got 2 in a different match though, like within 2 minutes of each other. So that was nice. So the next match we got was the cold-hearted handsome devil Hook defending his FTW title against
he's dreamy.
He is dreamy. Cool hand Ange. Oh look, we have another visitor.
Hello. Holy crap. The power of technology.
Yes, I've been coerced into joining you guys.
We twisted his arm.
Well, we needed someone to give us a live update on the media scrum.
We're gonna have no more viewers because they're all gonna be guests on the show now.
Admittedly, I stepped away from the scrum, so the last thing I heard was him viciously burying the Young Bucks, saying that they're acting like they're still in Reseda, and it was unexpected, and he went deep into the lawsuit with Colt Cabana. So
it sounds like he's trying out for season 6 of Cobra Kai with that kind of job.
But
that's
yes,
awesome. I'm starting to like that dude.
the meaner he gets, the happier Paul is.
Yeah,
this is how we get. So this Punk should be fun.
I mean, historically speaking, this is how Punk has acted in the past.
To an extent, not as not. This is a. I think this is a character off of some of the stuff he's done before.
I get the impression that there's more going on here, but Tony Khan looked very uncomfortable throughout this. So, but then again, he looks uncomfortable.
Did they talk about women's wrestling? Is that why he was uncomfortable?
No.
I was gonna say
the violent burials of Cabana and the Bucks and Hangman and Kenny and.
Yeah, I think I think the Colt question feels like it was planted because it was the very first one, and that sent him down a path. And maybe. I think that's what they're going for.
I cannot.
I haven't watched the video, so.
I can't wait for tonight's WOR.
And they're in town.
Anyways, so where are we at in the show?
We're on
match
Hook and Cool Hand Ange.
I liked Ange's.
How handsome Hook is.
Yes, he is handsome. And then Ange has the cool knife comb like he's a greaser, which is cool.
He should be in the
tell me more.
What's the name of that?
T-Birds.
The T-Birds, yeah. I've referenced them on the Dynamite Show before.
I actually liked that this match went a little longer.
Me too.
And that Hook had to work from underneath a little bit. It showed he's getting some range in there. Mm-hmm. I think 2.0 are the perfect kinds of foils for that to get in there.
Agreed.
Veteran.
Yeah.
I could have done without Bronson.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Action Bronson.
I kind of
Check out the Twitter exchange between me and Ryan Frederick after this.
I read that. I said nothing. I was like, I have no interest in contributing to this.
Hey, how famous is Action Bronson?
It's like I saw Joe Coffey once.
He has like wrestling related songs that he came out with a few years ago, but then he got into some trouble for some misogynistic comics that he made that I believe he's apologized for. I guess some people have said he's kind of cleaned up his act. I don't know how true that is because I don't follow him that closely. And then so
well, I Googled him because he's a big time rap star. I looked at his discography. He's had one top 30 on the rap charts, one song, one track.
Yeah, he has
been
wrestling.
in 3
I
movies
think
on Viceland.
Yeah, he's not. I wouldn't say he's a big rapper, but people. No. I think he's known in the wrestling community because he is a wrestling fan and he's released wrestling theme songs. But I would not call him.
But I got the old. Rapper. You don't know who he is, so he's not a big deal.
No, it's definitely not. No, he's not.
I also think they just wanted Danhausen.
I mean, you kind of have a history there, Paul.
Yes, Danhausen would have been.
Yes, they wanted Danhausen to make the save, and I think that was the issue, as opposed to, hey, a celebrity gets to walk through the barriers.
Because I didn't know who Zach Clayton was either, and I recognize that he's on a big show. Logan Paul, I had no idea who he was before he showed up at WWE.
Bad Bunny,
like I get all those things, but this guy.
Unfortunately, I know who Logan Paul is, and
but
not
for
by
the
choice.
Wrong reason. Yeah, Logan and his brother are terrible people.
Yeah, but he looks like my dad, but he's young enough almost to be my son, and Action Bronson.
Well, my reaction when I saw him was I had no idea who it was, but also I think the last time I was in touch in pop culture, I didn't exist. In other words, I've never been in touch with it. So, I'm just discovering some pop songs from 15 years ago, last week. So.
Well, I am I listen to Roddy Ricch, I listen to Future, Juice WRLD, all that stuff, and I've never heard of this guy. So,
Jeff, do you have anything you would like to add?
I am so fascinated and scared right now by Paul's musical taste.
I was watching these expressions.
Paul's musical taste surprised me.
I am in shock right now. Tell me more about hip hop, middle-aged Canadian.
I'm so far beyond middle age, it's not even funny. But
oh my god.
No,
I'm looking at my list. Maybe not in Canadian years.
This is on my track list. Oh. You guys recognize that?
I can sort of hear it.
Careful, you're gonna get us.
Oh, that's Megan.
Yeah.
I have no idea who that is, and I probably never will.
Dua Lipa.
I still don't know who that is.
She's very popular right now.
And
I actually know.
Josiah's on the Newsboys, okay? So let's just.
I like the Newsboys too.
I forgot. I'm more of an Arcade Fire guy.
Okay.
That's my.
Yeah, they're cool too.
Okay, I'm with you there. See there. I got that reference.
Next match.
Yeah. I was gonna say, okay, so the next match, we got Kip Savion versus Pac for the All Atlantic title. And I guess I know Mel's had some comments, but about this match.
I just was thinking that maybe he should go back under the bag and just stay there. Because I'm not really. But it's fine. I mean, I love Pac. I think that's great. I love him going around the world kicking people's asses. I have no problem with that continuing. He almost should have a little show traveling around the world kicking people's ass. I feel like this is
I think that's his matches on Darker.
Yeah.
But so it works for me and I'm happy. I enjoy that. I think the Brutalizer is a really cool move. I enjoy watching that.
Yeah, and I saw because Garrett was saying he didn't really understand the Kip character, and how I take it is, I mean, he's got it written on his box, but before the stuff at the end of the match, how this kind of came about was Kip had surgery last year, and at the beginning of the match, they said that he had not wrestled in AEW for 527 days. Kip has been cleared for a while. They had nothing for him. So Kip got the attention. So he found a way to get attention. He was showing up at shows with a box on his head. People were talking about it. People were seeking him out at the beginning of shows, when they were letting the doors open. Then he started showing up at people's meet and greets, and then it just became a thing where people were tweeting and I saw him in the box. And because even in the beginning when they put him in the crowd, I don't think he was front row in the beginning, and people kept talking about him and kept talking about him, and so they finally moved him into the front row, and they kind of left that there for they've done that for months now, and it led to him getting a pay-per-view match on a pre-show. And so good for Kip for finding a way to get attention, and because Penelope had been cleared for a while as well, and they weren't using her until 2 weeks ago. And so good for Kip for.
But I think I'd rather see her. So.
I enjoy Kip. I think he's I enjoyed the match. I thought it was good. I really like what Kip is doing. I think it's interesting. It's better. It's not something, it's better than what he was doing before when he was just kind of
just standing there.
Yeah, exactly. And so
getting beat up by Miro was the most interesting thing that ever happened to the guy.
So I think,
pretty much.
But he's gotten himself into a match with Pac, and he's gotten him, and so I think that speaks a lot of what for what Kip is doing. And so so they did start the stuff afterwards where during the match he was talking to the box and things like that. So I think it could be interesting if AEW actually follows up with it. And I think he can do some stuff. He's doing stuff on social media. He's got a lot of fan base on Twitter who is really into what he's doing. So if they handle it right, it could be interesting, I think.
Be like Al Snow and Head is what it
now. One thing I did like was him following Pac around the indies in Europe.
I really like that.
He followed him around that whole time at every single show. And I don't know if it was actually him or just someone stand in for the storyline purposes, but if it was
him,
I think it was him. But at least the match with LJ Cleary was the match where they finally. So at least for that one. But I think it wouldn't surprise me if he went home for a little bit and
that makes it interesting too, because that means basically AEW was probably paying to fly him to these shows for this. And so good for him for getting paid to stand there and do nothing. That's pretty good. And and I will say about the match as well, I think the match was a lot better than the heat it got.
Yes. That was the theme for the night.
Match was good, but he's not interesting the moment he takes the box off.
See, I disagree with that. I disagree.
I like Kip Sabian.
I do too. I've always liked Kip. So
someone else came up with this, but I tweaked it a little bit. Kip Sabian looks like if Mark Sterling created himself in an AEW video game.
That's fantastic. I think Kip is a really good worker, and if they can find something that works for him and gets him, he gets him into a position, because he's very much so good enough to be a guy who can be moved up, but the question is connecting with the audience.
Yeah. And I think they can get him
there. He was doing that thing where he was getting them to go, yay! And
that's true. Yay! That's true. And they were chanting Kip throughout the match. It wasn't like super hot or anything, but they were chanting it.
And so weirdly, they weren't reacting to Pac, which was surprising.
That was bizarre.
Yeah.
Because
there's a lot of that tonight. Like Miro was getting nothing, and we'll get to that. Like a lot of people it was a weird crowd.
Chicago has gotten to be a really weird crowd. It's almost like they're getting oversaturated with shows. And
I think that's part of it.
Jeff had a point on I think it was on the Dynamite Show. You mentioned it. Like this wasn't really a Chicago crowd. Like this is
this is the fly-in crowd for who had to buy the ticket package and whatever. So
right. Yeah,
which was a lot more difficult than something like the best AEW pay-per-view in Chicago this year.
That one or the United Center. It was
a little easier to get. It wasn't like you had to buy a whole week's worth of stuff over a holiday weekend. And I think that there was that combination where you essentially said, everybody, you have to take your last week of summer. And some people may have even gone. I mean, like I know my sister's kids were back in school this week, so you had to buy Wednesday and you had to buy Friday to get Sunday. And I think that that tied people into a much bigger financial commitment too, than especially right after some of the big pay-per-views having been in Chicago, where even just the big Dynamite was a bigger Dynamite than usual.
I don't mean this in a terrible way, because it's just the nature of how they taught their audience, but it felt like a WWE crowd in some ways.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it felt like a
The
WWE
non-fight
show in a lot of what
some
they
of the
did.
booking for sure.
Right.
But the crowd was like, they popped for entrances, they popped for big moves, and it took a really good match to get them going. And normally with an AEW audience, you can just have an average match that will be elevated to very good by the crowd usually. And that did not happen on this card.
No, I agree.
It was definitely
100%.
Fair.
definitely interesting for sure. And then, so at the end of the match, afterwards, we had Orange Cassidy come out and confront Pac, and Pac immediately said no.
I laughed.
I love that.
No.
He told him he told him it was a joke and said no, and then he pieced out, and then we cut back to Kip talking to his box. But
I'll fight random indie guys around the world, but not you.
yeah, but Orange Cassidy and Pac have wrestled before, right?
Yeah, on pay-per-view.
Yeah, they had a really great
That's
match
what I thought.
in the early
Yeah,
AEW.
it was really good. That was
Revolution, I think. I
was like, I'm not-
Wasn't
making
that
this
wasn't
up,
that a
right?
three-way?
No.
Wasn't that-
No.
Singles.
No.
I remember it being like
You're thinking the match
surprisingly
where he had
great.
against Kenny Omega with I can't remember
Yeah.
who the other guy was.
Yeah, and everybody thought Orange Cassidy.
I
was the
think
first
it was
time
a
we actually-
Dynamite.
I was there for that show, and people thought that Orange Cassidy was really going to beat Kenny Omega, and it was, and they were not happy when the belt collector
Weird.
continued to be the belt collector. But yeah,
That shows how good Kenny and Orange Cassidy actually are at working.
yeah, exactly.
They're
So,
so good.
so maybe we get Orange and Punk at some point, or Orange and Pac at some point, or maybe
Oh,
Pac
yeah.
just runs. Maybe Pac
Grand
runs
Slam.
back to the UK and continues his indie run. New Japan will be in the UK soon, so maybe he'll just
Ooh.
go over there and wrestle.
I would
Maybe
love him.
he will wrestle Yano because John Moxley won't.
Put him in there with Yano, or put him in there with Hiromu Takahashi.
Oh my gosh.
There you go.
I'd buy it.
I'm in.
I'll buy that for $1.
Speaking of New Japan, the main event of this
Oh
0
my
hour
God.
was it was a rematch from Capital Collision between Eddie Kingston and Tomohiro Ishii. This match. So if you saw the first one, it was kind of similar to this one, where there were lots of chops and headbutts and awesomeness, and there was more of that tonight.
Kings Road versus Strong Style.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. This
Beautiful.
was- who did I missed who it was? Who did they say if Eddie? Because they said if Eddie Kingston won, he was going to dedicate his match to someone. And
Tenru.
they
Okay.
Oh,
okay. Okay. Yeah, because I missed the name, and then I heard them say he had been hospitalized last week, I think it was.
Yes, he's
One of his
doing okay
heroes.
now.
Okay.
But it was a spine issue for Tenru,
Oh,
and
no.
and if they didn't hospitalize him, he was at risk of death from the issue. But they hospitalized him. He's stable now. He's recovering fine. I'm guessing they're going to do surgery to help fix it.
Oh, goodness.
whatever it
great.
is.
Well,
But-
ugh.
It,
I'm
it
glad
was like
that
he was walking around with like, this could kill you for
Oh my
who knows how
gosh.
long. So
Wow.
These guys.
Yeah.
Tenru is a different breed. As
Absolutely.
were these two guys.
monster
Absolutely.
of a man.
Yeah, so this match was awesome, and I'll let
Yeah.
who wants to talk about this one.
So this is the kind of wrestling I love. Just two mean guys hitting each other hard,
Yeah.
but in safe places. It's like, I saw Eddie Kingston work a very similar match to this against Stu Grayson a few weeks ago, and here at C4 in Ottawa, and it was awesome. Like, it was just very similar to this. Lots and lots of chops and hard hits and suplexes. I could watch that all day. I can watch an Ishii Ishii matches all day.
Yeah.
I love Tomohiro Ishii,
He's awesome.
and he does absolutely nothing really. but it's so great.
Awesome. As JR calls him, he calls him a goddamn refrigerator. He says he's the size of a goddamn refrigerator.
Eddie looked great. Like like something about him, like he just looked different, and he looked healthy, and he looked like.
I think he's at his happiest when he can wrestle Japanese style against Japanese wrestlers.
Well, yeah, I just meant like even just coming out. Like
no, I agree.
Oh yeah, he looked like that all G1 too.
Yeah.
All G1. Like, just
were you talking about Ishii or
Ishii?
No, I'm talking about.
Eddie Kingston.
Yeah,
okay. Eddie did look great.
Yeah, he looked something like, I don't know if he cut his hair or grew his beard out or something. Like he just looked different. And he looked good.
His beard was a little longer, I think.
It's a little longer, and he's letting the gray come in.
Yeah, he looked good. He looked good.
Yeah, he looked really good. He looked really happy. And then because he just wrestled Marufuji Women's that last weekend.
Okay.
And what a happy man he must be, wrestling Marufuji and then Ishii a few days later. Right. Oh my gosh,
this is like Eddie's dream. He's like having dream matches over here.
And this is where I said we need to get Eddie Kingston in the G1 next year.
I would love to see that.
And I like when this match was over, I'm like, if there's anything on pay-per-view that beats this, it's going to be an amazing show. And there was a few matches on the pay-per-view that I thought were better. So it was a great show.
Yeah. What I thought it was. Yep. I can concur.
I'm gonna be in the minority on this one. I didn't like the match all that much.
Why?
What?
Because well, hold on. Let me explain.
That's what said why. Explain yourself.
I'll give you the qualifier. I am. The more I watch Ishii, the more it's like every match is like this, and I get that. And if you like that, that's great. I like violence, but I like violence that matters, I guess.
I mean, that's the easiest whole thing.
Well,
it's just violent.
Well, yeah. No, I love bad men doing bad things to each other, but I don't like the no selling as much as a lot of people do. It's one of those things where it doesn't give drama to me when that happens.
This is the thing, though. Ishii doesn't no sell. He knows sells for a little while.
Yes, I get that. It's just I'm not a big strong style guy either. So it's one of those things where I was watching this and I was, I'm waiting for them to wear down and they get worn down a little bit, but then they come right back with like the quarters come. It's like putting quarters in an arcade machine to get your life back type thing, and that drives me nuts. As opposed to say, and look, I'm not a WWE fan, but I love that Walter Sheamus match.
Oh, that match was awesome.
The two of those guys were beating the crap out of each other until one of them was just too beat up to go on anymore.
Yeah,
and that's more my thing there.
Maybe they just needed Abyss to come agent
the match.
That's key agent in that match.
like you can give me all Japan from the early '90s, and I'll watch Hansen and Gordy beat the crap out of each other all day long. Mm-hmm. But eventually they're gonna tire out, and it's gonna become like them swinging. In this one, it's always like there's always that moment of fighting spirit that it's like, okay, whatever.
So you're more of a King's Road guy rather than a strong style guy. Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Fair enough.
I like both. So I was happy.
No, that's fine.
That's what I'm saying. That's fair. That's a fair point. Yeah, that's fair. So then I guess we'll just go ahead and move on to the main card. And we started with the casino ladder match, which I would not have been mad at if any of these men won this match. So we start out with Wheeler Yuta against Rey Fenix, and then Rush was next, followed by Andrade, followed by Claudio, followed by Dante Martin, who had a ladder fall on him as soon as he entered the match. It hit him right in the back, but that did not stop him. Then we had Penta come out, and then we had question mark come out.
The Joker.
We had lots of question marks in there. So I guess before we get to the Joker stuff, what did you think about the match overall? Anybody?
Everyone hated it.
All right, Paul, I'm going to ask you.
All right. Well, okay. So the match itself was like a train wreck, but designed to be a train wreck.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the problem I had with this was, okay, number one, Wheeler Yuta nearly kills himself 2 minutes in, getting like powerbombed onto a ladder. And Tony makes a comment. Tony makes a comment. I think he's done, for the rest of the match. He's not gonna be able to continue. 2 minutes later, he's jumping off ladders again. Then later in the match, they do the spot that I'm sure you love, Sam, because you love your Canadian destroyers.
I do love my Canadian
Where
destroyers.
Penta does the Canadian destroyer on one of
Dante Martin.
Andrade, I think it was. No, it was
Andrade. He did one up on the ramp.
This is the one on the ladder. And then Phoenix does a splash onto Rouge onto a table to take him out. So 4 guys are out, and Dante Martin is disappeared. Now I know he was taken out by some move similar to Yuta that they said he's not going to be able to make it back. So that time he couldn't make it back, but the other time he was fine.
Martin was laying dead on the ramp after a Canadian destroyer from Penta.
Yes.
Yeah, and then you have everybody's out. And conveniently, we have the last Joker. The Joker hasn't come out yet, so we have enough time though for 5 guys in hoods to come out and attack like Retribution. And
we'll compare them to that.
Well,
and then better than that.
That's what I was saying.
But I mean, the only way this master plan works is if Ray Phoenix and Penta are the biggest idiots in the world, and luckily for Stokely's crew, they were. And they managed to take themselves out of the match so that we could have a 5-on-2.
I could say in that moment that even if Phoenix and Pentagon were in the match there, that Stokely's crew just would have took them out.
Yeah,
like, I can logically say that they weren't there, so they didn't worry about it. But
yeah, because especially when one of the guys is Lee Moriarty. So I mean, and you have Morrissey. Morrissey could take them out.
Okay, well.
At least temporarily, I think.
I that's what they had. They had a higher number.
I was hoping for so much more from this match. I guess that's my issue.
That is a very good question. I will. I do not.
Oh, you already clicked it.
Oh, sorry. I do not.
Knows?
All right, listen. You get this.
I'm clicking it. Okay, you stop.
Who knows what he was
Andy,
doing?
we're going to answer your question.
I think it was meant to lean up the other ladder.
Not that one. The one underneath it. The one underneath it is the one. Because Andy, I had the same question. Yeah. I don't know what Claudio was doing with Andrade. I think he was struggling. I don't think they practiced it and it went right when they practiced it, or they didn't practice it and just were like, "This is what we're gonna do," and then he just kind of dumped Andrade off because it was not. It was
almost everything they did.
Yeah, one of the Japanese ladders got left behind.
Maybe
there was a wonderful. Sorry, go ahead.
A little trickier.
I was gonna say Andrade's standing there with the poker chip right there.
Yes.
And Yuta wounded. All he has to do is these matches drive me nuts now because they're nothing but set pieces as opposed to people trying to win the match. And I'm just like,
I don't have an issue with it because I know that. I think that's because I know that's what they're going to be.
There was one guy that was trying to win this match, and he was a manager who wasn't in it.
Yes, but on the other hand, also nobody learns anything from these matches every time. It's like
if I can
bring an army to clear everybody out, then everybody in that next match should have 6 people coming down because it's no DQ, and it's just
Oh yeah,
I enjoyed that. I think Dante is somebody I enjoyed seeing Dante do some cool stuff, and I liked seeing a ladder match that didn't involve Darby Allin, and that other people can do cool shit too.
So Taz had an answer to that question about what Claudio was doing.
Okay.
Oh.
He had a Tazism. He called it X-rithmetic.
Oh yeah, I heard that.
God bless Taz.
Did he explain what that meant?
No. He just said it.
Okay. Because I was like, I missed that. So then
he's doing some X-rithmetic. That's right. X-rithmetic.
So we finally know why Stoke was handing out business cards to the Ass Boys, Lee Moriarty, Ethan Page, and Morrissey.
We do.
So they all
he has the poker chip now. So
yes, and so Stoke obviously went and got the chip for someone in a mask who came out to the Rolling Stones. So Tony is
Sympathy
still
the song is Sympathy for the Devil.
Yes.
And when Sympathy for the Devil started, my spidey sense tingled, and I sent out a tweet. And this is not quite the tweet, but it's what was in the tweet.
Yes, it took me a few minutes to get to that because I was trying to remember where that quote came from, and it took me a little bit, and then I was like, wait a minute, it was the spot where MJF was choking him.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
The greatest live for those on audio, or is this only on video?
No, it's on. It's on.
For-
No, it's on video.
if anyone's
on
listening to this
audio.
later,
It's on
the greatest
video,
lie
Amy.
the devil ever told was convincing the world that he didn't exist.
Right.
And that was a
Which
line
is an
MJF
old-
used.
But
that
CM
Punk had
Punk
used
used
first.
that too.
Yeah.
Punk used that
Yeah.
in the summer of Punk,
Yeah.
and which is why MJF used it during their match or during their feud earlier this year. So both things play into each other.
And in that very promo, Punk, in quotation marks, left Ring of Honor with the ROH title and showed up the next show and signed his WWE developmental contract on the Ring of Honor title.
Yes.
And
probably one of
MJF,
the best angles ROH has ever done.
Yeah.
and MJF convinced the world that he was gone. And
Yes.
now he's
Did
back,
he?
and he's
Did
the devil.
he?
Yeah.
A little.
With
Yeah.
an army
A little
of geeks.
convinced.
Well, he
that.
did because they moved on from him pretty quickly because we had there was a lot going on where because unfortunately right after he left is when that's when the Jeff Hardy stuff happened.
Yeah.
There was two other big stories. There were three big stories that happened like right after that, and people quit talking about MJF. I think that also when the first Vince story broke.
Yes.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so everybody quit talking about MJF because other things were happening. And it kind of worked in his favor for that. So the next match was the trios final between Dark Order and Hangman Page versus the Elite. Tony said months ago that they would wait for Kenny Omega to come back before they revealed the titles. They revealed the titles before Kenny came back, but that was obviously the big first clue that he was on the way back because that's what the titles were for. So we kind of all knew where this was going. But that still, I don't think that took away from the match, at least not for me. Josiah, what did you think about it?
I loved this match so much. I am very hard pressed to pick now between my match of the year thus far. It is going to be this one, or it is going to be Okada versus Ospreay from the G1 Finals. And I don't know which one I'm picking.
I have an ongoing list of match of the year contenders, and I also have a honorable mentions on there as well. And I added to that actually, yes, which I'm probably gonna have to go back now that this show is over. I'm gonna have to add. Yeah, this match I enjoyed it.
I really need to start keeping a spreadsheet of my favorite matches.
I have a notes. I have a notes in my phone.
I have a spreadsheet.
So many good ones.
I have a spreadsheet anyone can access. I tweet it out every once in a while of every match I've watched in 2022, and I rate every single one. And I'm over 2,000 now.
Jeez.
And yeah, this was. I mean, this doesn't even come close to my match of the year, but it was really, really good.
Yeah, I thought it was really good, but I don't know that I'd put it on my match.
Yeah.
I think maybe if I went back and watched it and kind of like, I mean, I paid attention, but like, I think if I really immerse myself in it, I might think, but I thought it was a fantastic match. And I think just all along term, I think what makes it so good, just besides the obviously the wrestling itself, is all the story because obviously having
that elite drama. That elite drama.
Kenny Omega is so good at storytelling.
He's the man. Look, I'm wearing a shirt, so
yeah, and I have the Hangman. I do love Kenny though.
but yeah, I that guy's a master at this, and everything he does in the ring, the selling to set up future spots in the match, the how he moves, how he helps the other guys get over by making them look good, all of that.
Right. Agreed. And we finally got the Terminator spot, which we knew we would get here. I thought they would save the One-Winged Angel for this as well. I was a little surprised when they did that on Dynamite. I thought they would save that because it's so big. I mean, I know why. I understand why they did it on Wednesday, but I thought they were going to save it for this when they were building stuff up.
Also, I got to say, the finish of this match was a thing of beauty.
Yeah, that was what I was going to comment on because, in screenwriting and improv, two things that I've done in the past, they always tell you that the ending is in the beginning, and that was the best part about the end of this match was that they start off with Paige, slapping hands with I think Matt Jackson or Nick Jackson, I can't remember which one it was, but at the end, accidentally then clotheslining Silver.
Yeah.
That was just that, it's like, okay, these guys are my friends. Are these guys still my friends type of thing? No, I really thought the ending was absolutely simple.
And then that also, when you said that, it reminded me, Matt Jackson tagged himself in because he wanted Hangman, and Hangman tagged himself out. And, and for people who watch Being the Elite, Matt Jackson a few times before asking Hangman to be their partner in this tournament, he wrote out a text message kind of apologizing, saying he missed him, and then he deleted it without sending it. And then Hangman has done some stuff where he's with Dark Order, and they were like having a birthday party or a celebration or some sort, and Hangman was just not into it. He wasn't drinking. You could tell he would rather have been, he missed his friends and his other friends. And so it's just, the little stuff like that, I think, is just really cool. And so obviously we knew that the Elite was going to win, the entire time, because Tony made that obvious with the announcement. I think
they had me convinced more than once. I bought several of the near falls for the Dark.
Well, I bought that John Silver was going to pin Kenny Omega twice.
After the One-Winged Angel.
Silver was the standout in this match. He was incredible. I think this was I thought this was a really great match for him. And I think it puts Dark Order, because a lot of people, they see them as just like the funny group or whatever. And I think they sometimes forget that Silver and Reynolds are actually a really good tag team.
I heard the same
thing.
Plus,
JR got to say Johnny Hungy like 15 times.
Well, that's on his
show.
I've heard the same thing about Dark Order like a bunch of times after really good matches that they've had. So I want to actually see them follow through with those guys.
Yeah, I think they do. I agree.
Yeah,
but there's one flaw in this story that everyone raves about. What if Hangman had said yes?
He wasn't going to.
But what if he did? Then
now we have Don Callis.
Omega, so what? They don't get Omega then? Like that's what it doesn't. Like if Omega was put it this way, here's another way to look at it. Why did they ask Hangman if Omega was available?
Because Omega's the story was Omega cleared to wrestle, because when he called Matt Jackson on Being the Elite,
is that the story?
Yes, that is the story. Because Matt asked him. He said, "Are you sure?"
Don't tell me about BTE. Tell me about what happened on the show.
I'm getting there.
On the pay-per-view tonight, they asked Don Callis, "Oh, was Kenny just playing possum?" And Don Callis didn't answer. So
I'm getting there. He did ask him. He said, "Are you ready? Are you sure you're cleared?" And then he said, "Okay." Well, then when we do finally see Kenny, he is rusty in the ring. He's wearing a compression shirt. He's got a back brace on. He's struggling to keep up with the Elite. And so that's what they're selling. Was he ready for this? And then we saw, in the next match, we saw him against Ospreay and Aussie Open, and he hit the One-Winged Angel. He hit I think the V-trigger he hit in the first match. He couldn't hit the Terminator though. So tonight he finally hit the Terminator. And so I think that was the progression.
So 2 weeks ago, he's wrapped up 10 days ago, he's wrapped up like a zombie, and now he's fine.
I mean, I didn't do the timing of it.
Okay.
I do think it was a little rushed.
Yeah, that's
what I'm saying. The timing, I would have, I wouldn't have rushed it out as fast, but
I would have drawn it out over 6 to 8 weeks instead of 3.
I probably would have I loved the match. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
I gave it 4 3/4 stars. But I would have liked it as much as Josiah did if I was more as into the story as he is, or as you are, Sam.
That's understandable.
And Paul, we've had conversations about this before elsewhere, but I'm really emotionally invested in the story because I like all these guys.
I apologize.
Sure, me too.
I feel bad for you, but
no, I'm really.
I'm the
same way.
It makes me very happy.
Emotionally invested in the story as well. I'm the same way, Josiah.
It makes me very happy, so don't feel bad for me.
Right. And then I do want to go back to this real quick, because on Rampage, we had Don Callis go into the locker room, and he said to Hangman, he said something along the lines of, "It gets easier to turn on your friends." And so it seemed to be kind of planting him eventually turning on the Dark Order to go back to the Elite.
And I did like Callis on commentary too. Yeah, he turned on his friends like I do all the time. I'm a high functioning sociopath, so it's easy for me.
Yes, I wrote that down. I actually had that in my notes.
I laugh so hard. I love Don Callis. He's hilarious.
Me too.
I enjoy him, and I'm thank God they didn't have JR on commentary for this, because I cannot. That has definitely been taken away, having Callis and JR bickering on commentary. They did on Kenny's return. I thought Kenny's return was great, but that took away from it because they would not be quiet and they were bickering the whole time, and it was just like, shut up. You're ruining. Like it either.
I think we lost you for a second there, Sam.
Yeah, I was gonna say my microphone didn't like it either.
Oh,
Sam versus the microphone is an ongoing feud. That's our long-term storytelling.
Yes, it is long-term. That's what my microphone said. You want some long-term storytelling? I got some. So does anybody have anything else they want to add before we go on to the next one? No. Okay. So the next match was for the TNT Championship. We had Athena come out. She has new wings since Jade destroyed her last pair of wings, and she's got in some Rey Mysterio white contacts. And she looked awesome. And then Jade Cargill was in her She-Hulk. Her Jade Hulk is how I tweeted it, in her Jade Hulk gear, and she came through she busted through the wall, which I thought was interesting. I mean, obviously it was the She-Hulk thing, but it also was just kind of her busting in, how she's basically busted into AEW.
Excalibur had the best cover of this, though. It was she's dressed green because she likes money. Because of course
heard that. I was like,
they can't mention She-Hulk because DC is owned by Time Warner.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
Okay.
I didn't catch that at all. I mean, I heard him say it, but I didn't make the connection of.
Well, she's also, her name is Jade.
True. True.
Yes.
Just say she's wearing Jade colors.
So
she's obviously doing She-Hulk cosplay here.
I had no idea. Like, I've never seen She-Hulk, but I assumed it was.
But I knew what it was immediately.
Well, I assumed because I've seen something else that had a She-Hulk in it. But I won't get into it. I'll send you a
Jeff
DM.
and I are making the same face right now.
I'm afraid that you're going to tell me you saw the China movie.
No comment.
Oh, God.
Moving on.
I think it's probably, but let's go. Anyway,
I don't want to know about any of that.
I have a question. Is Red Velvet taking time off because she got married and went on her honeymoon, or is she injured?
Yes.
Because she was in the baddies, and then Layla is sort of, she helps out when she can, but Jade won't accept her. And I kind of wondered if Red Velvet would return tonight, but is she injured, or are they just not using her?
Last I could tell, last I know of, she was injured.
Okay.
I'm not sure the baddies even exist. Like, I know they do. Don't get me wrong, but it's like nobody wants them. Like Mark Sterling had them, and Stokely had them, and now Stokely doesn't have them. And like, I don't know, they're gonna just have some random new manager. Maybe it'll be Vicky next week. Like,
please no, keep Vicky away from
it'll be that dude managing Bear Country.
Oh, JT, I think is his name. Yeah. Yes.
Who was the guy interviewing Sammy and Ty at the beginning of the pre-show?
Oh, that's RJ City.
I love RJ City.
I've never seen him in my life.
Oh, he's fantastic.
Now.
He works with AEW Digital.
Yeah, okay. He has a show on YouTube called Hey EW where he interviews wrestlers.
Oh, I've heard. Okay,
the show is very funny.
I've never seen him, but
I've
heard of him.
He's very good at what he does,
and he has a sense of humor. And he has a sense of humor and reference that's about 15 years older than he is. So
yeah, and then that's
awesome.
Funny you say that, because I started following him on Twitter a couple of years ago just because of the things he was posting, but I have actually never seen a match of his.
I was confused,
but he hasn't wrestled since 2020, correct? Is that true?
Right. Yeah.
Does he just not wrestle, or was he injured, or
he now has a job with AEW?
Well, yes,
to wrestle.
Yeah.
I think it was injury. I think it was just injuries.
Okay. Yeah, I thought RJ City's great. I
believe he had a feud with David Arquette on the Indies. I think that was
and now they're really close. They're good friends. And like when David Arquette was on Family Feud last year, he brought RJ as one of his people. Instead of having family, he had wrestlers. He had RJ City and Dalton Castle, and can't remember who else it was, but it was really funny.
What a team! Yeah, Dalton Castle.
Yeah, that sold me. Yeah, it was really funny. They did a great job. But
he could manage the baddies.
Yeah, let him come on. Yeah. So this match ended up being 4.5 minutes. I know why it was. I won't. I know what they were doing. So I guess I'm not as irritated as I normally would be at a match that short. However, Jade has had longer pay-per-view matches. I did see a lot of comments about why is this match so short. I think I know what they were doing here. But Jeff, what did you think about this one?
This was tough sledding. Yeah, I have no strong thoughts about this. I think Athena did what she could. I'm still shocked that they put her here right now to lose. When she was brought in, she seemed like a much bigger deal, but that's the story of this women's division.
Right.
I am at a loss as to who they're going to get to take the title off of Jade, and I'm thinking Willow. I'm thinking you got to rebuild Willow
I saw somebody else, Rafael Garcia with Daily DDT, said the exact same thing, that he thinks it's going to be Willow.
Because it was originally Chris, and then and then that fell through. But there's something with Willow where you can rebuild her, and it's going to be a little bit similar to what I think the Ricky Stark story is going to be. Mm-hmm. But I'm fine with that. It's a good story to tell. So I think that would be the person to put it behind. Jade's still rough.
Willow is a great baby face.
Yeah. Yes, Willow's. Oh God, she's sunshine in a bottle, I think is what somebody called her, and that's exactly what she is. She's wonderful, and I do want to get
her to 40, right? I mean,
well, after I do think tonight, because I saw a lot of people complaining that Athena didn't win, but I was like, Jade's not going to make it 37-0 and lose. And not even make it to 40.
You've been saying it for weeks, and I think that after tonight, especially where it was like, if they're not gonna do it tonight at like one of the biggest pay-per-views of the year for them, then they're definitely going for 40.
My guess was that because Statlander was supposed to win at Grand Slam because it's in her hometown, that they were gonna they might do a rematch of Athena and Jade at Grand Slam and have Athena go over there. But now I'm wondering if they're going to just go to 50 wins with her instead of 40.
That's what I think. I think they're going to go to 50, and I think it's going to be Statlander because she'll probably be back by then.
That's 6 to 8 months away, so they're going to make
that long.
She's
okay,
at 30.
maybe not. Maybe not.
Because that's she's got a torn ACL and. I think there was an MCL issue.
Jade doesn't wrestle that often, so I mean, they could.
They could, but I think it's 6 to 8 months. I think is what I've heard for Statlander's return.
Maybe, maybe they heat somebody else up.
I was gonna say the problem with Jade Cargo is you have to wrestle the Jade Cargo match.
Yes,
and you can't do too much in it, otherwise she won't remember what she's doing, and that handicaps people. But I thought Athena was fine in this. I mean. Her finisher is the best. I mean, it should get a monster pop every time. As people continue to kick out of it, it's going to get weaker and weaker, which is going to make her seem less special and less special. And I don't know now what you do with her, to be honest with you. If you're just going to have people kick out of the the O face.
To be fair, there wasn't a kick out here. The baddies were a little bit late, but on push-pulling the referee out of the ring.
Yeah.
Athena out of the ring or whatever.
I didn't see Rampage, but they showed the interview that she had with Jade. Yeah. And I don't know if it was clipped or if it was the whole interview, but watching the interview, Jeff and I have talked about Athena's promo ability or lack thereof in the past, and I thought this was like the best promo she's ever cut.
Yeah,
and
she was a phenomenal
like the story of the match, like the story of the promo was either she wins or she's a loser, and she's a loser.
And I think that's I think that's part of the reason they went with the 4.5 minute match or whatever it was, because Jade used to do squashes. No, not that. I think it was because Athena and Jade were before Jade was even signed. They were going back and forth on Twitter. And started this feud there, and they've been going back and forth, and I think it was just Jade was just showing her dominance over Athena, and she beat her quickly.
Wow.
And I think that's why they did the 4.5 minute match instead of doing.
Well, she's dead.
a 7-minute match. I don't think she's 10. I don't think so.
I
they'll have to
respectfully
take time to
disagree.
rebuild her. They can rebuild her, but it's going to take time. And
Well, if it takes her time to get to 50, maybe she's the rematch at 50.
They can rebuild her. They can make her bigger, faster, stronger. Sorry, I'm showing my
You got
age.
new wings,
Look
so
here,
maybe.
RoboCop.
No, it's a $6 million man.
I know,
Oh,
man,
$6
I
million
know.
man.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Showing your age. No.
After they rebuild
Showing his
Ruby,
youth.
they can rebuild her. Yeah.
They can
Yeah.
rebuild them together.
My gray hairs do not actually reveal how old I actually am. It makes me look older.
Somebody asked me, put me on the spot on a show. I can't remember when I think it might have been Robert Silva, maybe not. They asked me who's gonna be the person to beat Jade, and I just blurted out Sasha, and that was before it was pretty obvious she was going to be back in WWE. So don't think that's happening, but I think that might have been the plan at one point.
It could have.
Yeah,
I would have been into that.
Yeah.
I would have been perfectly fine with that.
Yes, I think most people would have.
And I think part of it with Jade in this match, Jade has all the makings of a star in terms of her look, her charisma, her ability to connect with the audience. All of that's there. It's just her in-ring is so far behind the rest of it. And it's not that she's like terrible or anything like that. But she would really benefit from working the indies. And I kind of wish a lot of the inexperienced wrestlers in AEW would take more indie dates.
Yeah, I think Anna Jay is somebody. Who
Yes.
wants to take the
Absolutely
date.
should.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ty
Anna-
Mello as well.
Yeah.
And Ty has gotten to, I would say, to the acceptable level, but she would improve
Yes.
even more being on the indies.
Yeah.
And she improved dramatically from where she was in NXT as well. But that's more of an indictment on WWE's training style. But yeah, I think a lot of the wrestlers in AEW, not just the women there, but men too, who are green, go take indie dates. You will get better.
Yeah.
I think Ty got as good as she was because of what she learned in NXT, and the problem is that she didn't progress. Now in NXT, she wasn't given the chance to do all the things she learned. And that's why when she showed up in AEW and she was doing these matches and everyone's like, wow, it's because she was already a good wrestler when she got there, or a decent enough wrestler, but she never got a chance to show it because in WWE, they only wanted her to, do like 3 moves and look pretty. And
that's true too.
She got to do matches in AEW with the stuff she learned. So everyone said, oh, QT and Dustin are just amazing because look what they got out of Ty. And it's like, she already had it. It's just, but now
she didn't have the experience. She didn't have the opportunity.
Right.
And
now
it's the thing with Deanna. Like Deanna didn't get the opportunity in NXT, and then now look at her. I mean,
but look at how much better she got when she left because what she did, what Josiah's talking about. Going on the indies, doing Impact, doing NWA.
She worked everywhere.
Right.
Everywhere.
And she's amazing.
Yeah.
Like I would say she could be brought in to be the person to beat Jade at some point.
Sure.
But I don't think
at
that's
that.
in the plans.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad at that.
No.
So I guess speaking of Impact, the next match was a match that I was looking forward to mainly just because Motor City was in it. And if you've watched the show at all, or follow me on Twitter, you know that I love Motor City Machine Guns. I've been a fan of them for a very, very long time. Been waiting for them to come into AEW. I wasn't quite crazy about the way that they were brought in, but I'll take them how I can get them. So they were partnered with Jay Lethal, and technically with Sanjay Dutt and Satnam Singh. And Sanjay Dutt's pencil against FTR and Wardlow. And for many people, Motor City versus FTR is a dream match. We did not get this here, but maybe it's planting seeds for later down the line here.
I highly suspect we'll be getting it.
Yeah. Somebody listening to music over there?
Are you, Paul? Listening to the Motor City Machine Guns theme?
I can't hear it.
Nice.
Okay. Sorry.
Well, then, yeah.
Don't let
Motor
Mike
City
Gilbert
as
catch you doing that.
I know he gets so mad when I bring up Impact. I love the thing at the beginning and the end with Finley.
His daughter.
Yeah. That was good. That was good
It
stuff.
was the best stuff in the match.
And props to Sanjay Dutt, who is just
Oh my
a
god.
great flunky.
He is perfect in this
Yeah.
role.
He's a wonderful stooge.
He
Yeah.
really is.
Fight like an 8-year-old brat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
loved it.
great.
Loved it.
Yeah, Sanjay is perfect for that. I really love the way that they did that, and they got.
I can't be the only one that thought the kid was going to stab him with the pencil. Am I the only one?
No, I was like, what is she? Why is he handing her that? What is she about to? Yeah, I did not think break the pencil. I thought she was gonna like jab him with it.
Satnam Singh on the outside of the ring as the like cheerleader. He was almost on the same head level as Jay Lethal when he was on the apron. Like it's just an amazing visual to see Jay Lethal and then Satnam Singh and then Sanjay Dutt beside him. It's like
right,
dude, like
yeah.
Oh,
Yes, Sanjay and
so
Satnam are always a visual.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Match was good. It was fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Another match that was way better than the heat it got, I thought.
Yes. Yeah, like another. Yeah, you're right. Like you would expect. Like, well, the Wardlow's Powerbomb Symphony got
got good heat, and Dax's daughter got an amazing reaction.
Yeah, but that's go back to what you were talking about the WWE fans. Like, like FTR's working their tag team match, they're getting the heat and nothing. Like, just nothing.
This was like a really well executed wrestling match. I mean, all the guys in the ring were great. So I mean, Wardlow's probably the rookie of the group, although he's not a rookie.
Right.
But everyone in that match looked good. Everyone worked really well.
Yeah,
and
I'm glad they all got because the people who I guess aren't super familiar with Motor City, they got they did some of the stuff that they're known for. Because even when on Rampage, when Chris Sabin came out, him and Alex Shelley both were talking about how people have been the tag teams you like today have been copying moves from us that we were doing, that we've been doing the last 20 years, and give us some damn respect.
they really laid the foundation for guys like the Bucks.
Yeah.
The feud had no stakes. So there people had kind of tuned out. They go, well, it's going to be a good match.
Yeah,
whatever,
I kind of don't know why Wardlow was not defending his title and why they did this. And
I would have been okay with Wardlow massacring Jay Lethal again. I would have been fine.
I mean, Jay Lethal got what he deserved, so.
or
maybe
just
they
FTR
felt like
the
they needed. Oh, what was that?
I think they're going to save FTR versus the Motor City Machine Guns for upcoming Dynamite.
Okay.
I mean, at this point, you have them in, you might as well do the match. And in front of a crowd that actually knows who they are, that's going to be a great match.
I was thinking a Ring of Honor pay-per-view.
Oh, that would be good.
Oh,
yeah, I would be fine.
I bet you there's one. I bet you they're going to announce one for October.
Yeah.
Yeah,
somebody earlier in the comments, way earlier, said that there was a reference to Death Before Dishonor 3 or something like that. I don't know what they were referencing quite there. I mean,
I think that they were kind of making it a joke, but it wouldn't actually be the worst thing in the world in terms of having an actual one. So.
Yeah, because somebody did ask on the media call when they were doing the next ROH show, and Tony said he wasn't sure yet. That he was still trying to get that figured out, and of course they're still figuring out, I guess, TV/streaming. But they've got to do something. So
I would expect
save it for that.
I would expect Glory by Honor in October or November. And then
November is when the next pay-per-view is.
Oh, for AEW.
It's on my birthday.
Yeah, so it's gotta be October.
It'll probably be October, and then they'll do Final Battle in December.
Yeah.
Yes. And he said there is going to be a final battle. He said that on the media call.
Okay.
Which reminds me, that final battle has one of my favorite promos ever from its best friends calling out Motor City Machine Guns. And they, you know what promo I'm talking about, don't you? It's that's in my top 3 favorite promos ever.
It's extremely comedic with Trent and Chuck Taylor being absolute fools, and it's a delight.
Yeah. And they botched the thing. They can't get Motor City's name out. God, I love that thing.
I legitimately think they just kept the bad I think they legitimately messed up and they just kept it in.
Yes.
Kept doing the takes over and over again until they got it right at the end, and they just never got it right. And so they just went with
it was perfect for what they were doing for that match. I love that.
Well, it fits Trent and Chuck very well.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. So I could see Motor City versus FTR happening at whenever we get the next pay-per-view or the next Ring of Honor one. But yeah, so I'm excited because Full Gear's on my birthday, and I'm contemplating going to
Newark.
Yeah, I'll have to look into it and find out how to make it happen, but we'll see. If not, I'm sure I will definitely be watching it. I will spend my birthday watching it. One
Is
way
it
or
really
another.
in Newark?
Yeah.
Is that where they're doing it?
Yeah, at Prudential, right?
Yeah, MJF's first title defense.
Interesting.
And we got Samoa Joe after the match.
We did. He's finally done filming. What was the movie? He's doing it.
Heavy Metal or Metal?
Yeah,
Metal.
it's based off of a video game. Yeah, Heavy Metal. Like I think he just finished like a week ago.
Yeah,
so.
he's I forget the name of the character, but he's playing in Twisted Metal. So,
Yes, Twisted Metal. That's what it was.
Oh,
Thank you.
okay. I was like, Heavy Metal, like the anime.
Yeah, Heavy Metal's the old '80s animated.
I got really interesting picture in my head. That one. Like, okay, sure.
Yeah, he's playing the clown character from it, which is an unusual casting choice for Joe, but
it works. Why not?
Yep.
Sure, he'll have fun with it. So the next match was Ricky Starks versus Powerhouse Hobbs, and this was a match that went a bit. I think somebody was saying that did this match really only go 5 minutes, or did it just seem? Yeah,
it was only 5 minutes.
I knew it was short-ish, which I think was the correct call, and I think they did. I think this was handled. I think Hobbs was the right person to go over here.
And
I think Hobbs. They're building because I was like, Hobbs isn't going to turn on Ricky Starks just to lose. Like he's gonna and if they're gonna build him like the monster, I'm hearing like even before I had heard that they had really big plans for Powerhouse Hobbs. Like I had a feeling that that's where this was going. I was like, Ricky's not going to get his win back yet.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, but this is also in service of Ricky Starks. I think that what this is going to do is Hobbs is going to get built, probably take the belt from Wardlow. And then Starks will get his first victory against Hobbs. That's what I'm thinking is going to happen here.
I didn't think about the TNT title part of it, but I think that's where we're going.
But I like this story. I like that somebody just has Ricky Starks' number right now, and eventually he's going to have to learn how to beat him.
I mean, it's the simplest story to tell in wrestling, and it's the same story Okada and Tanahashi had for years at Wrestle Kingdom. It's a very easy story to tell. It's a very easy way to get someone over once they finally overcome, and it's a very easy way to get a heel over too. And
they did that a lot because I saw a lot of comments who were pissed off that Ricky Starks did not get the win, and they did exactly what they were trying to do. I think here with Hobbs.
And if Starks' contract runs out and he takes a deal with WWE, then they win there too.
Why do you keep putting that out there?
I really hope.
We talked when we did our predictions on the Dynamite Show. Didn't I say Starks was going to lose, Jeff, and you thought he should win? Or am I remembering that wrong?
You're remembering it backwards. I said I think there's a chance that Hobbs wins this.
Oh, okay. So did I predict Starks?
Yes.
Because I thought we thought that you thought that because he was getting beat up leading up to it that he was going to lose, or that he was going to win.
That's WWE booking. That's that brain. That's that WWE brain.
Yeah, but I mean, they clearly wanted Hobbs over Strong, so I was shocked that it was so quick.
Yeah,
but
I thought there was a chance they'd crown Ricky here. I gotta be honest with you. He came out dressed as an Air Jordan, sucked up to the Chicago crowd.
He looked awesome.
Yeah, no, it was great gear, but it was like this. Okay, they're gonna coronate him tonight, and it's like, nope. All right, cool. We'll have to wait a little bit.
No, and I think that's because Hobbs, the way the turn happened. And so I think it would just be, I think it would seem like it was too early for Ricky to get his win back. If they're building Powerhouse, like we were saying, to be the monster that we think he's going to be this monster heel.
And it sets up that redemption arc for Starks.
Yeah.
Which if you do it right, works great every time.
Mm-hmm. And I think this is a really good story to tell it with because they're two of the younger, these are the next set of guys, who if they're still here within the next 5 years, that, they're the ones who are going to be, in bigger pictures and telling stories for a while. So I think it's smart to do this now with them. All right. So the next match was not the match that I think we all saw this on the card. This is not the match we thought that would get the reaction that it got. So we got Swerve in Our Glory versus the Acclaimed. I will say real quick, Max Caster has got to stop body shaming. That really pissed me off, and I just I was like, just don't. I don't want them to win. It really pissed me off because not only did he body shame Keith Lee, he used Lizzo to do it, who was body shamed last week by a comedian. So it really rubbed me the wrong way. And
he's a babyface. So
yeah, exactly.
Really
He's got to stop doing that. He's got to stop doing the heel tactics.
Rest of it was good.
Yes. But... yeah, he got over. I mean, the match was great. I enjoyed that, but that he always leaves a bad taste in my mouth when he does things like that. Like every time I think that I'm getting closer to liking him more, he does things like that. And then it just, because I was in the crowd the night that he made the Duke rape joke.
Oh,
I was in the crowd. And so that it really, and what on top of, I mean, it was in bad taste to begin with, but they were, because it was a Fight for the Fallen show, they were donating money to a domestic violence organization. Luckily, the women who were there, who run the organization, were already gone because Dark was filmed afterwards. So luckily they were not there to hear it. But yeah, so Max Caster, like, he just really have some issues with him. And so hopefully he can get it together and maybe grow up a little bit. But yeah, so that I just needed to get that in there. But we can go back to the match part of it now.
I never thought that the Acclaimed would be great underdog baby faces as they were in this match.
Mm-mm.
And I loved the pivot of Swerve in Our Glory to play heel here. Mm-hmm. But they had to maintain that until even after the end of the match. And boy did this crowd wanted it. And maybe you call from the back and say, let's change it.
Yeah. Well, somebody made the comments, and this is actually what I thought too, because of the crowd reaction, that, like, I think Swerve in Our Glory was the whole time was going to win, but because of that crowd reaction, I could see them winning at Grand Slam. And somebody in the comments said that in the scrum, it was mentioned that the Acclaimed may get a rematch at Grand Slam.
Yeah, that's fine, but this was the time to do it if you're going to do it, because you can't really get that energy back. But nobody anticipated this either.
No. True.
It was one of those things where it was like, this is lightning in a bottle right now.
Well, and
I
like
never thought I'd see it.
And then just the match on the card, like, you see the match on the card, and you're like, okay, the Acclaimed have gotten over, but
this will be a fun match, but nothing special.
Right, exactly, and it ended up being.
I gotta
on the show.
I gotta say the about the first 10 minutes or so, the crowd was really pissing me off. They were singing these scissoring chants, and they were just ignoring the match, and you can't scissor, clap, clap, like the you can't wrestle chant, and they're doing the scissor in our, or what were they saying? Or scissor me daddy.
Or scissor me, the scissor me daddy,
and just going on, and I was just getting so
How
annoyed
dare that
with
crowd
it.
have fun?
Well, no, and that's it. I mean, they were having fun, but they were like ignoring the match.
Nice volleyball. Beach balls.
Then they got into the match, and then it got great. and
right.
What I loved was, again, they showed the interview that they did on Rampage, which I hadn't seen, and they brought up the fact that Bowens is always getting injured, and then they did the spot where he fell off the ropes, and then he sold the knee. I didn't know Anthony Bowens had that in him. He sold his knee for like 15 minutes. And that made the match. It just absolutely made the match.
Yeah, it did. And it's just so funny to see, like, how they were on, like, it was just when they first started out, like, on Dark and stuff like this. And then they kind of got like a little following, and then they've gotten better and better. And who knew putting them with Billy Gunn the ticket to make it work.
True, but there's too much. I mean, there's too much of the Billy Gunn interference stuff at the same time to make them great baby faces. That's the issue here, is that, he can't be doing the distraction stuff all the time, because it takes away from any win that they would then get. And that's my concern with this act.
It has to be done very rarely.
Yes.
Very, very rarely. He should be running interference to keep the interference out of the match.
Yeah.
If the heels have a manager, they're like Stokely or whatever, trying to get involved, Billy Gunn can pull him off the apron.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Now, did you guys think was it all that the Acclaim was over, or was it also that they really didn't like Lee and Strickland,
No,
especially
they
Lee?
claimed to have gotten over and over. They finally released the Scissor Me Daddy Ass shirt on Friday, and it became the best-selling shirt in 30 days within like hours of it going on sale. So they're super
I just think
over.
the Lee was getting booed though. Like
they were booing. I think they were. I don't think it's because of. I think regardless, I think maybe whoever they were in the ring with may have got. I don't know. Maybe not to that extent. Maybe not that quite.
I don't think there was. I agree with you, Sam. I don't think there was.
Okay, but then how come at the end? How come at the end when Lee tried to scissor him and he did, they booed?
Because because they're mad that the Acclaim lost the titles. They're just.
I just think they didn't like Lee, but maybe
no, I don't think that's it.
I think they were angry at the result of the match.
Yeah, and that's my how I took it.
But I do think that there might be a little bit of an argument to the fact that and I don't think it's Swerve or Keith Lee's problem. I just don't think that the execution of their tag team necessarily is as I think.
They haven't been
because
as well as they should be.
People aren't taking to this idea. It's not that they don't like each one of them individually, and I don't even think it's a bad idea that they're necessarily tagging. It's just the way that their team has been presented. I think when you get you've got another team that's hot,
up to the titles, and then
people are like meh about how they're being presented, I think you're going to get a little bit. So you've always got that issue, but
there seems to be a certain way with how some of the people are. But yeah, that's kind of why. That's another reason I thought maybe Swerve and Our Glory retained here, because their title run hasn't been as great as it could be or it should be, because the fans were super into them prior to them winning. And so I think it's just, and then that kind of happens some with Wardlow, like when he finally wins the TNT title and then he pull him off TV for 2 weeks, and then he kind of, so they,
you know what might have killed this though? I mean, in terms of the feud, was that the whole staging of this as homegrown versus not homegrown.
Yes.
That didn't help either, especially for a star crowd in Chicago.
Tony has mentioned that. He mentioned that on the media call, that's kind of what, like, that's what they want to do, is have homegrown stars versus the not homegrown stars. And so it's interesting that you bring that up, because Tony mentioned that himself on Thursday, that they wanted to kind of build, they've been trying to build up their own stars as well. And then have these talents, like they want to be able to, I guess, integrate them both, and not just have them win because they're outside or because they're homegrown. But that is an interesting point.
And I think that's also goes to why MJF was cheered.
Yes.
Like, twice now in LA and now in Chicago, because he's homegrown. He's AEW.
He's evil, but he's their evil guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're a jerk, but you're
evil,
our jerk.
damn it.
Yeah. And so they didn't think this match was going to go over the way that it did. It ended up hurting the next match a little bit. I think the crowd.
It hurt the next 4 matches. I would
say, but definitely they did get in some chants for Jamie. They were really loud for her a lot throughout the match. And so obviously the next match is the fatal 4-way for the interim women's championship between Jamie Hayter, Hikaru Shida, Toni Storm, and Britt Baker with Rebel. But yeah, this was it. I don't think that it obviously wasn't intentional. They probably thought this was going to be the spot that kind of brought the crowd back because of the match before, and it ended up being the complete opposite.
I thought Hikaru Shida was the star of this match.
She was great. I love this rebirth.
She's so good.
She's awesome.
She worked so hard in this match.
Yeah.
And to little reaction, which is a shame, because she was fantastic.
Which is interesting, because fans a lot of times, rightfully so, complain about the fact that she's not on TV and she's not in these big spots, and then she's in one, and
goes back to the WWE crowd thing again.
Yeah.
They did the same spot here that they did with Sami Zayn in Montreal a few weeks ago, where they had her brought out by an injury and then come back, and the crowd just didn't even react when she came back. It was
they did when she started hitting with the
when she had the candlestick, But the one spot here was when they did the Yay Booth thing with the 2 baby faces and the 2 heels squaring off, and it was like no reaction, or actually wasn't none. It was very low. It was like yay, boo, yay, boo.
There was
And I
one
was
guy
like,
who,
it was so sad.
yeah, and then one point in the match, some guy tried to get a Holy Sheeta chant started, and it was just him, and you hear this lone voice trying
and he could actually get through because there was like no
yeah, there was nothing. But I mean, Jamie got some. There was a lot of Jamie chants. Jamie was definitely over, and I thought one thing that was interesting is when Jamie came out, her gear was completely opposite.
Better gear. Better gear.
She looked, but she was completely opposite of anything she's ever worn. She wasn't in all black. She wasn't matching Britt. She definitely stood out here. Which obviously I think was intentional, and kind of pushed me towards thinking, because I've talked about last week on our show about like what I would do here, and I thought Jamie should have been the one to go over. I thought Jamie should have cost Britt the title, and she should have taken it. And finally, I love Toni Storm, and I want her as champion, so I'm not mad at that. I wouldn't have put her first title reign as an interim champion, especially with the way she's been booked up until this point. I personally just wouldn't have done that. And I never thought they were going to put the title on Sheeta, only because Sheeta travels so much to Japan to wrestle there. She's the Regina DeWave champion. I don't know what her commitments are like there. So I figured Sheeta would not get because obviously she was champion at the same time Mox was with no fans. But I had a feeling it wasn't. So I just felt like out of the four, that Jamie probably would have been the best option. Again, I'm not mad at Toni having it at all.
Well, Paul will verify that Jamie's gear has been a point of contention for me. So I am very happy that she got better gear.
Yeah,
to take more serious. Yeah.
Well, and that's another reason I saw that gear and I was like, well, maybe they are going to put the title on her. Like, look how
looked like a main eventer.
Yeah,
like
she did. Yeah, right. And she was incredible during the match. The fans seemed super into her. Like, as much as they were quiet during the match, there were a lot of Jamie chants throughout the night. And so I think
they were pissed. The crowd was pissed that she was the one that got pinned too.
Yeah.
Can I add something else that I noticed in that? We haven't brought this up all show, but I liked this. I think, was this the first pay-per-view that they've done where they had video recaps of everything before they went into the matches, as opposed to match?
No.
It's not the first one?
No.
Is this the first time?
It felt like
seems like the first time it was done consistently.
Maybe felt like because I was able to catch up.
They noticed it.
Yeah, I think they haven't. I admit it was more extensive this time, but I think in previous shows they have done at least most of the matches. Forbidden Door had a fair few.
I think that's the one that I remember it happening before, because I remember thinking that they needed to learn something from the way they did Forbidden Door, because that was a much easier pay-per-view to get through than most of them
very much
are.
So.
Yeah.
Very much so.
And this one too. This one did not feel as long as it actually was.
But I just remember really liking the women's
11:57.
package. Yeah, I liked the women's video package a lot.
Yeah,
on this
it was really good. It was really good.
I just like the fact that I could fast forward it.
Especially for a match that was thrown together last minute. It was nice that they got that.
But yeah, I thought it was a really good match that, again, was way better than the heat it got.
Yeah.
And
agreed.
They all worked very hard, and they're clearly building towards Hayter and Baker breaking up. It was
They've
very
been doing that since the moment Britt
Yeah, well,
which is why I thought they would just go ahead and do it here, that they finally would just do it. And Britt, and I mean, obviously they kind of did, except for it was in reverse where Britt cost Jamie the title, so that clearly is going to extend their feud. But
and that makes Hayter the babyface. So that's a really good.
Got babyface gear now too.
Yes,
we're not going to have women's tag team titles. It's been like 3 or 4 days since they had a new title.
Let them learn how to run the two championships they've got first.
And I
don't know how they're going to do that and Ring of Honor.
Well, Sam, don't suggest that they spend 8 minutes on the women or something.
Hey, this match got almost 15 minutes. So
it was it was a good match.
There's Sam. That match got 15 minutes.
Yeah. And then when you combine that with Jade's match, it was like 18 minutes of women's wrestling
on a 4-hour pay-per-view.
Yeah. Well, and then I can take that back. They had the mixed tag team match.
That was on the pre-show.
And so that was, I think, like 6 minutes. So
I just want to see Tony start like totaling up the women's matches too, but like getting different numbers than you because he's such a data
I always
nerd.
say though,
And then
like,
just
when
being
you're-
on the media call, like,
He'll have
see, the women got 16.75 minutes this time.
the key isn't like measuring the women's wrestling in AW as compared to WWE. You've got to look at the percentage of women's wrestling, because men's wrestling doesn't get as much time in WWE either. So it's like there might be in a 2-hour Raw, there might be 45 minutes of wrestling and maybe 15 of it is women. Whereas on a 2-hour Dynamite, there might be 90 minutes of wrestling and 15 minutes of it is women. So that's the difference. No, but that's what I'm just saying. Like that's,
like
that
8.
I'm just pulling numbers out of my butt. But
Yeah.
you might have the same amount of women's wrestling on both shows, but it's definitely not the same proportion.
Well, and they don't give them character build, and that also brings me to the short celebration. Like Tony was trying to celebrate, and they freaking cut to the back. Set up the next match. Like,
Then
this
they
is
start
not
playing the Oscar music and ushering her.
Well,
off.
here's one, Sam, and this was the question that like I was leaning in the direction of you, but what I was going to say was we had 15 matches on this show. 4 of the matches were men's singles matches that had nothing to do with the title. We had 2 women's matches, both for titles. Tell me the last time we had a pay-per-view match for women that wasn't for a title.
It was.
I don't think it exists.
Deeb Rosa.
Deeb Rosa? Was that not for a title?
On a bond, no.
Are you sure?
You know what?
The one that was on the pre-show?
No, pay-per-view.
You're thinking Deeb Rio.
Yeah, and that was on the pre-show.
That's the pre-show.
Yeah. I don't think it's happened. And that's the problem. That's why these women aren't getting over to the extent they are, because if you're not in a title feud, it doesn't matter.
And
because they don't let them build character. They don't have any character developments or stories to tell.
And we even said, like, you could have actually done a tournament, a proper tournament, and had a tournament match on this show, and maybe crown a winner at Grand Slam.
That's what exactly how I would have handled it.
And you could have had 2 women's matches on this show that were both tournament matches.
Yep. And that's how I would have booked it.
Yeah. And the thing is too with this, like a 15-minute match is great, but they have to persist through the lack of reaction.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get that
WWE did
until you get them over.
3 years of that.
And so you need to consistently put them in positions to get over, and it's going to take a while. You
let them finish promos. That's the first thing you have to do.
God, thank you.
Write actual stories as opposed to writing them like they're women. You know, there's a bunch of stuff you could fix prior to this. They're not going to have to work that hard if you actually treat them competently.
There is no reason.
Treating them competently.
there is absolutely no reason why the women can't have a story like the Elite right now.
Yeah, there's no reason why.
Absolutely no reason.
Well, and then I don't know that I would necessarily agree with this statement, but you know, people keep saying they don't think Tony actually cares about that. He doesn't even like women's wrestling. They think it's just on there because it has to be. And Tony keeps giving them reasons to, even if that's incorrect, he keeps giving them reasons to make it look correct.
and I don't think that is correct, especially based on Wrestling Observer Radio when he was talking about the women's division with Dave yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
He talked a lot about like how excited he was for the title match and all that, and I think he cares. It's just maybe Kenny should take over the booking of the women's division completely, or
I don't think Kenny. I don't think Kenny's passion of women's wrestling is enough. They've got to do more, which is why I keep making the point of hiring somebody like Maria.
Yeah, I was going to say next.
Because how the hell are they going to run AEW and ROH as a women's division? They can't even run one division. How the hell are they going to run the women's division and Ring of Honor?
How are they going? I'll tell you, they're just going to pick 2 women that they never put on TV and say you're wrestling for the ROH women's title. Go.
I mean, Mercedes is injured right now, but that's what and they keep putting Mercedes on Dark and Dynamite Dark and Elevation to defend her title. That's what they were doing.
Josiah, I think you might be putting too much stock into what was essentially a 90-minute promo by Tony Khan on Wrestling Observer Radio.
I really was.
I'm not saying he doesn't, like, it definitely comes off like he doesn't want women's wrestling. I don't think that's actually the case.
Well, and the fact the way he also buried Thunder Rosa on Thursday does not help him in any way.
Put it this way.
And I don't know what they're going to do when she comes back from her injury, and who knows, how severe her injury is. My sister has back issues, so I can only imagine what she must be going through. And, there's always the potential of surgery and things like that. And if she has to have back surgery, she's going to be out for a very long time. But regardless, whenever she comes back, they're going to have to, the way he handled her and he handled all of this is just very bad. And I don't know how Thunder Rosa comes back from it.
Yeah. His roster's number 3 also. I mean, that's the other problem here. And it's nothing against the people that are in.
Well, Women of Wrestling starts on Paramount Plus this month, I think on the 17th. And then Stardom, New Japan's going to have Stardom women. And they're going to be wrestling in America on New Japan Strong.
And that is going to crush everybody.
Yeah, because people are going to see what women's wrestling can be and what's it looks possible.
Like. Well, but
but
people are already seeing it on Mondays and Fridays. And Tuesdays, for that matter, of what women's wrestling can be, in America.
Even in Impact. I mean, Impact is obviously on less TV, but look at Masha. They've built Masha to be this huge monster, and she's finally last Thursday, she main evented with Deanna, and they went like 16 minutes. 17 minutes. Yeah. And that's the longest Masha has gone since she's been there, because they were building her up as this monster. And now she has a title shot against Jordynne Grace.
That's going to be a fun match.
Yeah, it is. And then you've got there's Mia's there. Chelsea and Deanna have the tag titles. There's Tasha Steele. There's Giselle Shaw. I know Tanilla's. She's done. Obviously Tanilla's gone
now. Rosemary.
They've got Taya. They've got Jessica. They've got Rosemary. They have Savannah Evans. Who
Sue
was
Young if they want her.
Yeah, when Sue Young is on maternity leave. No, she's already had the baby. On maternity leave.
Tasha Steeles is great.
Yeah, she's phenomenal.
Amazing personality.
And then Mickey James is kind of on. She's doing her last rodeo, where she's working from the bottom to hopefully get to the championship spot. She said, if she said she doesn't know how long or how short it'll be, but so now we have that long-term storytelling over there.
And they're not complex stories. It's just real stories.
Yeah, and they're on. They get a chance and an opportunity to tell these stories.
So in AEW, you get one women's match a show.
Yes.
Well, I mean, there's some weeks where Impact is one woman's match a show.
And some weeks there's 3. That's what I'm saying.
But they have backstage.
Right. That's what I was going to say. They have, which is why, a lot of people don't complain as much about how they generally have one women's matches, because they're building stories that, with these women, with multiple women. It's not the same 4 women over and over. It's, all of them.
This is going to come as a bit of a surprise because the rest of the promotion's a bit of a disaster. But the NWA has booked their women's division very well. It is
the NWA being a disaster. What?
That's
so historically inaccurate.
Go read my recaps of NWA.
I was gonna say Josiah has to sit through it every week to recap it, and so bless him for doing that.
No! I am so happy that it's Billy Corgan who owns it now, and that at least somebody kind of cares about wrestling a little bit.
Camille.
Yeah, but they've really fallen off from what they could have been doing after last.
I swear to God, I just finished Blood and Fire by Brian Solomon, and it's. It's like every book I read where the NWA is involved, it's like you understand why doors have been opened for the kinds of things that have gone on in wrestling to even happen, because the NWA is a constant dumpster fire.
Well, Billy Corgan's NWA right now is a bit of a booking disaster. It actually, last episode of Power was very good because they actually advanced stories. But I spent 2 months watching that show where the entire show was completely pointless and had no promotion for the pay-per-view on it.
Their
But
biggest pay-per-view of the year on top of that.
not
And
a single match was promoted. Not a single match every week. The TV show was completely irrelevant. They didn't even announce matches on the TV show. I could have completely skipped it. But that said, Camille, their women's champion, I saw her go from someone who was very green and should not have been given the title at first when she was, to someone who has gone around and worked indies everywhere with that title, including for Thunder Rosa's promotion and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And she has become very good. I still a little rough around the edges, but I mean, she got a good match at Melina, and Melina's not a good worker. You know, she did really good. And their whole division's built around her, but that they have tag team titles that are treated seriously. They have their women's titles treated seriously. They're introducing a women's television title that is going to be treated seriously. And
how many days has Camille been champion now? It's like
it's like 480.
Yeah, like I knew it was. Yeah, I knew it had been really long when she defended last week against Taya Valkyrie, correct?
And yes, and then Max the Impaler.
Yes, that's right.
And Max was very stiff in that match. Let's just put it that way.
Max,
Or Camille took a beating in that match, and I'm afraid it was a real one. But yeah, that like they are presenting their women as stars, and they're over, which is why Camille can main event a pay-per-view, and she has.
Mm-hmm.
And
wow, women main eventing a pay-per-view.
It's really not that hard as long as you give them compelling storylines and promos. And all the women get as many promos as the men in the NWA. And they get a chance to go out there in front of the audience and cut a promo at the podium. And it's one of the very things that I can confidently say that their product is good in that regard. Not much else, but
and you know, even Impact was like that for years, where basically their knockouts and their X Division were the only good thing that they had going. I mean, because I had them sporadically, like I would have them and then the cable provider would drop them and then I wouldn't see them for a while and it came back, and it was always their knockouts, and their X Division was always the best thing that they ever did. And so they've been good at having knockouts divisions and stuff like that. And so I'm glad to hear the NWA is at least. I wish the NWA had done another Empower this year, but I'm glad to see that they at least are building Camille and, like you said, building around her. But all of this to say that AEW is going to have to step it up. It's 3 years and there's all happening. And once they see the stardom, and I agree with that, Andy.
and Baker's great, but you know, like she can't do it alone. You need to have strong characters around her for her to interact with, for it to work.
Yeah, I think Jamie is a really good, you know, person for her to feud with, and I can't wait for Jamie to finally turn on her and
pull that trigger on the babyface turn.
Yes, do it. All right, so we've got just a couple more matches, or actually like 4 more. So the next match, also a shorter one, because Jungle Boy versus Christian. We thought Jungle Boy was finally going to get some revenge here. His mom and his sister were back, and then Luchasaurus is never changed his gear when he turned, like when he was in all black and rejoined Jungle Boy and continued to stay in the all black. So that should have been a big red flag.
Whose side is he on? JR said.
Yeah.
As he's got his hand wrapped around his throat and a bunch
Did nobody see his Jurassic turtleneck? It should have been a dead giveaway.
Yeah.
As Jungle
Boy's
dead body was crumpled on the
tunnel. Yeah, because my sister's like, look which tunnel he came out of, and then literally right after that, his hands are around Jungle Boy's neck. Because I was like, well, I had up until this point, I had gotten, because I did the match predictions for Daily DDT, and up until this point, the women's match, I had Jamie there, but then I had this one, and I had like the next 4 wrong, and I was like, all right, well, I really thought they were just going to give Jungle Boy he was finally going to get his revenge, and no, and I just told my sister, I was like, now, Luchasaurus can come out with the worked everyone shirt, because that's what he did.
You know, the real problem with this match was JR not taking this seriously. kind of doing this clown act as opposed to commenting on this. I mean, somebody wrote me and said to them, if this was like 2002 Triple H, JR would be screaming bloody murder right now. Instead of what he was doing,
Shivani was doing.
Yep, and JR was undercutting it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole whose side is he on was like just sabotage the whole thing.
Yeah.
But,
It did. It just made the viewers were dumb.
Yeah. And it was tough enough without JR just sitting there constantly. He has a bad habit of being that guy in those cases, and this was
it's acting. You need to be focused on your role here, and he's not.
Yeah.
Killing.
Did you guys notice on the when he was coming out, he was labeled as Jack Perry.
Yep.
Jungle Boy in
Jack
quotations.
Perry. Yes.
So I don't know if that was just for this match or if that's a permanent thing.
He
did in the promo, but
yeah.
I think they're slowly going to move him away from the Jungle Boy, but
I hope
then
so.
My sister was like, does that mean that we don't get Tarzan Boy anymore? But he's got to pay money to the Rolling Stones, so probably.
I suspect we'll still get Tarzan Boy, but he can be Jungle Boy Jack Perry from now on. I'm perfectly fine.
But then at some point he's gonna have to drop the Jungle Boy because he's gonna be
and he can be street fighting man for the
the Young Bucks are still the Young Bucks.
That is true. The Young Bucks. That is
Young Bucks.
Yeah. So I don't know where we go from here. I guess it's just more of the same
stipulation match.
I heard someone told me Christian was hurt.
Yeah.
I think I'd heard that. Now that you say that, I saw references to that, the fact that he may be injured.
Apparently had a huge brace on his arm. I didn't even notice. But
that was selling the angle from 2 weeks ago, but maybe it's also covering up an injury.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So then I guess that also moves Jungle Boy into Lucha. Moves the focus rather is what I'm trying to get out, is that they move the focus to Luchasaurus while Christian is out after but he did tweet that was a 5-star match.
At this point though, I was a little mad because we had 2 matches now on the pay-per-view that were essentially just angles.
Yep.
Which was the casino match and then this.
And you don't book pay-per-views to go to your free TV. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
You end things.
And that's why I forgot to mention it earlier, but the biggest issue I had with the opener was that they were building to TV, or so I thought.
You were building to the main event.
Well, which I didn't know.
Which I knew they were doing. Yeah. As soon as that happened, I was like, it's going to lead to the main event, which I didn't have it.
And that was fine.
I liked it.
I was fine with it, with how it ended, but
me and you were actually discussing that on Twitter, Paul.
Yes,
and you were earlier in the show at that point.
Yeah,
and I was saying, depending on how this show ends, will determine if I like this or not.
Yeah,
and I was right. So
no, and I figured it out too. So
Andy has an interesting theory. Top match.
All right, put that on there.
Yeah,
that could work.
I would like that actually. I think that would be great.
And it would be a little bit different for this feud, so I think that would be
as long as Christian doesn't hurt himself too bad.
I was gonna say as long as it's not the same.
Wait,
as
a lights out between I guess
Christian
NXT. And not Luchasaurus.
The NXT one.
Where they actually turn the lights out for the whole match.
Oh boy.
All right.
All right. So the next match was Bryan Danielson versus Lionheart Chris Jericho. Daniel Garcia stayed in the back for this one.
Another match that was way better than the heat it got.
And there's a reason for it.
Yeah, I missed some of the beginning of it because I was dealing with animals, and so that kind of took me out of it. And so I did enjoy what I saw of it, but I think I would like to go back and watch it, so I can sit down and watch it from beginning to end. But I enjoyed what I saw of it.
The reason that the match had no heat is because the story of this match was all about, or so I was told, the story of this match was all about Daniel Garcia and which side is he going to be on. And we never saw Daniel Garcia for the whole match. The crowd was waiting for Daniel Garcia to come out the whole time, and they knew nothing was going to happen until he came out. And guess what? He never came out.
So they cut to him in the back.
So that's why the crowd never fully got into it.
Mm-hmm.
Danielson was frustrated because
Yeah.
you could tell there's one point and he's like, "What? You don't want wrestling? Fine. You want me to give you entertainment?" And he does the hibble swip, and they all cheered. That was awesome, but he was frustrated. He's not doing that.
Yeah. Oh, and before all of this, we had apparently Bryan Danielson is friends with some dude. I think I didn't write his name down. I think it was Elliot or something like that. And he sang.
Jeff that made that joke.
Slim J. I said it was Slim J.
Stop it. No, because if it was Slim J, he would have called him a buster.
Was it you that posted it in the Slack chat, Sam? That it was Handgun Kelsey.
Oh no, it was. I think Patches sent that from somebody he follows. Yeah, it was like
Handgun Kelsey. I laughed so hard.
Yeah,
I saw that. I saw Squirt Gun Kelly, which I thought was funny.
I fast forwarded it and then I rewound it because I was, wait a minute, what is this?
Yeah, because I wasn't expecting. I wasn't looking at. I think I was tweeting or something, and so I heard the music stopped, and then this person. I was like, "What is happening?" And I looked up, and I was like, "Who is this looking like Machine Gun Kelly?" So I also had the same reaction, and they were like, "Oh, he's good friends with Danielson," and I was like, "Okay, cool.
Of course,
get your paycheck."
That was a very TNA moment in that regard, but I mean, it was. I guess
maybe it was supposed to be kind of a poke at sports entertainment.
Yeah. I think that's probably what it was.
Play him into the ring type of thing. Maybe is what they were going for.
Just a cameo.
Jeff shaking his head.
It was straight. I mean, they didn't think that far in advance. I don't think. I think they
maybe
just,
not.
Let's bring out.
Bree. Wanted this moment.
No, because that guy's Bree's friend apparently. So.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, they've had Rich Ward from Fozzy do Britt's opener twice. He's played her in twice. So. I
laughed when Denise Salcedo tweeted, "Well, that's not Bryan Danielson," and then I responded,
"He's observant.
Big if true."
Yeah, so then we get. Do we want to make any more comments on this match before I go to the backstage segment?
Yeah, the lack of heat made it kind of dull. I gotta be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, the crowd could just not care about this match, and I was
which is shocking. Yeah,
because
is it because of where it was on the card? If it had been,
no, I told you the reason why.
I mean, besides that.
Well, the ending also.
Besides that,
the ending also was like a fart in church. So it was
I think Jericho winning was probably the wrong choice. But
I had Danielson going over.
Well, there's another issue. Like, it wasn't Bryan Danielson versus Chris Jericho. It was the Lionheart against the American Dragon, which are two characters that were like around 30 and 20 years ago on the Indies that nobody knew.
Lionheart Chris Jericho is way better than whatever the Wizard crap that he's doing. So I would rather him do that. It's better than the late champion crap. I would just
Painmaker where he's dressing like a clown.
I don't mind the pain. I'll take the Painmaker over.
I like the Painmaker.
You're not
I would
wrong.
take the Painmaker over Wizard.
But Painmaker belongs to me. Painmaker is his Japanese persona and belongs.
Then he should have left it in.
That's where. No, that's what I. And I understand that sometimes happens. I mean, you get that, I'm fighting as the American Nightmare today or whatever. But in this particular case, I really felt like Painmaker is one of those ones. It's just like Moxley's kind of character that he has, that he leaves in Japan. That is his John Moxley in New Japan.
There's like
version.
AEW John Moxley, New Japan John Moxley, and GCW
John Moxley. I mean, they are all bloody messes.
They're all bloody and they're all great, but he steps them up.
But he has slightly different mannerisms and things he does.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then they cut to the back where Daniel Garcia is not happy that Jericho won, apparently. And JAS came out. I forgot. They came out
to celebrate, but he wasn't with them.
I'm pretty sure that. And did they beat on Danielson a bit, or was it just
no? Jericho just said that you weren't here, so we're not going to be there for you in your match next week against Wheeler Yuta for the Pure Championship in Buffalo, which I already last week when they announced the match, I thought Garcia was going to win because it's his hometown.
Is that true?
Yeah, it's his hometown. So
I wonder if Danielson will be out there with Garcia.
Corner. And then he's going to be telling Jericho, you weren't there for me when I need, because that's what he told him. He said, this is the biggest match and I need you out there. And he was like, no, you didn't help us tonight. So we will not be out there.
The only problem with that theory is that he's actually like part of the Black Hole Combat Club. So you would almost need someone else to be in Wheeler's corner for
Yeah,
that to work.
William Regal, I guess. I guess. But yeah, and so unless somebody pointed out, I can't remember if it was Slacker on Twitter, but they said unless the JAS thing is a ruse. Oh, you know, it might have been Brad, I think, tweeted me, and he said unless it's a ruse, then Jericho's actually, or somebody from JAS will actually be out there with him or come out there, but I don't know. Jericho seems petty, so he probably won't be. So the next match was House of Black versus Miro, Sting, and Darby.
I love Sting.
And Julia Hart.
Julia Hart's gear coming out was a
Stevie Nicks, man. That was great.
That was you.
Yeah, it was
right?
Stevie Nicks. Yes, yeah. But I liked. I love Sting so much.
Same.
And he never fails to get people into what he's doing because he's Sting.
I love Sting and I love Miro. I love Miro so damn much.
Yes, thank you,
Miro's
Jeff.
great.
Me too. I'm so glad that someone else has as much love for Miro.
Miro's
That dude is great in everything.
He's
Comedy,
so good.
serious. I love him.
I love his facial
Being
expressions. I
typecast
love
in the
his
TV show that he's about to be in.
conviction.
Miro's man. Miro's
And the
man.
end of this,
Pagans.
the end of this
Yes,
match
yes.
was quite good. I thought. I liked
Finish was
Sting
perfect.
with the mist.
Yeah.
Doing
And it
the
was
Muda.
interesting because Sting, you know, had been doing the face paint from where he had been, but then tonight he came out and he had his normal paint on. And so I guess that should have been a signal.
He reached deep into the great Muda well of his past.
Yes.
He did.
AEW should have a last Muda Sting, even if it's a tag type of thing. But I know they're
That'd
not
be
going to.
kind of fun.
I think we talked about it on
But-
Twitter, Jeff. Yeah.
Yeah, but let me ask you this: House of Black I mean, they were good, but they were just there. I thought.
Maybe
in
it's
many
because
ways.
they knew what was happening and that Malachi is leaving, and so maybe that kind of factored into it a little bit. 'Cause,
Maybe
I mean,
it was
because
just
what's the-
weird how unimportant they seemed in the match. for the
Well,
most
so
part.
what? You know, Malachi is their leader, and if he's going to be gone for an extended period of time, like, is Julia going to be their leader? Like, is she?
Yes.
Are they going to do her bidding? Maybe is that why they put? You know,
Quite possible.
so because because it was just going to be Brody and Buddy, and so I guess there's not technically going to be a leader, and so I guess maybe they do Julia's bidding for her.
Yeah.
Maybe. So
it was
maybe
just one of those things where it's like I had absolutely nothing to say about the House of Black. I loved all three baby faces, and the House of Black was just kind of there.
I feel like that this probably could have been a Dynamite match.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't hate it. I thought it was.
I didn't
good.
hate it either. It was just
and I
one of
liked
those-
it, and I think the missed spot. So I think this could have been, or at the very least, they could, if they were gonna put it, if they had to do it tonight, then it should have been on the 0 hour.
It is another match that had less heat than the quality of the in-ring.
Yeah. Until the mist, that crowd woke up for the mist.
Yeah,
and
they
was
love
about
that
it.
spot.
And the few, the no selling Sting spots always gets the crowd too. When he was in the Scorpion Deathlock and they were beating on him and he's just like, yeah. I love Sting so much. I have been a Sting mark since like 1995, 94, like that, when I first started watching wrestling.
And he plays with strength. He knows what the crowd will react to, and he does it every single time. It works for him. It's fine.
A master of the game, as I have been saying lately on Twitter about some other guys. But I thought that was great. I will say, because I suppose we should probably talk about Malachi giving a kiss to the crowd.
Yeah, we talked about that before you got here, but please circle back around to that.
Well, all I can say is if his mental health issues is reported are what they are, as someone who has suffered from anxiety and depression for most of my life and reached my lowest in 2015, I have a lot of sympathy for him. And I just want to see him happy and healthy no matter where he ends up. So if he's taking time off, take as much time as you need. And I'm quite sure AEW will give him as much time as he needs as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Can I interrupt this to play something for you guys? This is what I've been distracted with.
Yeah.
Is this what Jeff posted in the?
Yes. Okay. I think
it's amazing.
I think this is.
I
Gonna
wish
work.
that I could get the audio to work on here.
I think it's gonna work. I think it's gonna work.
All right, go for it.
Turn up a
Oh,
little.
you can't hear it, eh?
I can't hear it at all.
Shoot.
Is he answering my question about women's wrestling?
No, he goes. No, Brandon Thurston asked him
He
about
goes
pay-per-view
off,
buys,
apparently.
and he's like, and he's going off about Jim Crockett Promotions fighting WWE.
And
I mean,
he says, I have way more fucking money than Jim Crockett Promotions, and I'm not putting up with this shit anymore. Like he's talking about
What shit?
WWE.
Let me see if muting my mic.
Hang on, I'm trying to remove this now. Oh yeah, here we go. Remove. There we go. Okay.
Okay, I was
Yeah.
gonna say.
Wow.
It was unbelievable. It's check this out. I'll retweet it. Everyone, like,
What
this
is
is
Apparently, CM Punk wasn't the only one who got
It's
it.
in our comments. Jeff
Okay.
tweeted
it's in the private chat.
it.
Yeah, I'll definitely look.
All right,
at
I'm sorry. Yeah, that's.
No, what? But
he's insane.
is it still going on?
This was
No.
just a 20-second clip.
No, is the scrum still happening?
I'll check. Hold
The
on.
last time we did a live stream,
3 hours later. I hope not.
yeah, no, the last time we did a live stream, we
No, it's
finished
done.
before. We went 2.5
Okay.
hours, and we finished before Tony did.
Wow.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, but I don't think he was as wackadoodle as this
No.
He's
sounds
just
like.
very angry.
the
about-
scrum just went over.
Sam, this
an
is
hour.
you have started. I love it.
These guys need
I
to
get to
worry
be like,
about
I know
themselves.
that girl. I had a whole conversation in one of my wrestling groups where someone was actually, it was so hilarious to have a sort of existential conversation with like the one person and then another person. And it was just like, well, actually, what really happened was put my little glasses on you. Actually.
Well, actually,
I just don't understand how they're so gotten to about WWE.
Why does it
It's
matter?
really-
it's because last week Triple H said that they
well, I know that, but
Yeah.
my point is, why do you care what they say about you?
because he had said, because I guess also on the media call, someone asked if they would do a Forbidden Door type of event with WWE, and he had
That was a
said,
dumb question.
yeah, he said in the
stupid.
past he would have, but not after the way they treated him, which I guess means because they were asking around about talent to see if they were
They were
available.
potentially
Yeah.
contract
And-
But
tampering.
he
More
cut
than
that
that.
off. He
Yes.
cut that off quick and just moved on to the next question. And Tony, if you ever, or well, even you can see in the scrums that he will talk forever about anything, and he will talk in circles. And he just cut that off real quick and moved on to the next.
Or go listen to the Dave and Garrett
Yeah.
interview with him.
Well, he was
It
fine
is
there.
the only person I've ever seen plow over Dave Meltzer
I
and
know.
when talking.
I especially appreciated when he was like trying to work Garrett on getting him to read all the comments he didn't want to, and Garrett was just like, "Thanks, I'll run my own podcast." It's cool. Like he, in a very professional way, but it was like you totally had this moment where he's like, "Oh, I'm getting them. I'll ask when it's relevant with what we're going to talk about in a little while." It's like, you're not going to use me to read your comments off, you jerk. It's just, he's a remarkable person. I saw, because we went to Forbidden Door, and then just because it was the first time that AEW was coming to Detroit was the following Wednesday, which happened to be Blood and Guts. So I got to see Tony within like days of each other. And I mean, I don't know if the guy got sleep during that time, but he is definitely a very, like, he was promising Detroit pay-per-views and all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, whoa, there, mister. Slow your roll. What are you going to do in Detroit for a pay-per-view? Like, where are you going to put people? The only people I think that are looking forward to that is the Chop Shop guys, because of all the jerks that'll park downtown and not in the secure parking, because that's about all you would have. I mean, I love my town, but it's not a pay-per-view town. You know what I'm saying? Not every town is a pay-per-view town.
Right.
So
We have finally made it to the main event.
what?
2 hours and 27 minutes later, we have made it to Jon Moxley versus CM Punk, who left Larry in the back with Danhausen, because Danhausen tweeted it, so he was on doggy sitting duties for this match. And yeah, so here was this is the title match.
Very
The
outdated.
crowd was super into CM Punk. Mox was flipping off Punk fans in their Punk shirts.
It was a very split audience.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
They slowly started to turn toward Moxley as the match went on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's because Moxley's an incredible babyface, as I've been saying now for months.
Yeah, this whole thing was kind of not reading the room at all. I mean, it was really just kind of. I mean, it was just odd watching Mox try and go heel when nobody wanted him to go heel, and
Mox is
it was the wrong story to tell.
Mox is one of those people that if he goes heel, people are going to cheer for him regardless. I mean, he's that type of person that he can be heel all he wants, but the fans are still going to cheer for him.
Well, local babyface versus company babyface is hard to pull off, whereas I think they just should concentrate on the rivalry between the two and the personal animosity, and it would have come off a lot better and then the crowd could have cheered for whoever they wanted. This was just, it was weird watching him come out there and just flip people off and just.
It was almost a little GCW Mox that came out.
Yeah.
Where it was just the attitude and I guess he was trying to. I don't know. It was kind of.
But yeah, the AEW fans like that attitude in him. Mm-hmm. They like that he doesn't care.
Zero.
Much like they like Punk when he's a sarcastic jerk to people.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yes.
Yeah.
And so really I found, I thought this match was great. I actually really liked the match.
The match itself, I thought was good.
They're both really good workers. And it was anywhere but Chicago. Punk would have been booed out of the building.
Yeah.
Jon Moxley is I have actually said this I think a few months ago. Before Moxley was even saying it in his promos, I said this guy's the heart and soul of AEW. And he's their ace. He's their guy. Yeah. And it's funny because he's not really that, homegrown talent, but really Jon Moxley is not Dean Ambrose.
Thank the Lord.
He's the heart and soul.
Thank you for the rest. Thank you for
MJF is $1 and cents. CM Punk is the cancer.
$1 and cents. That's what he said.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but
I mean, in the promo from a few weeks ago, that's what it. He said he might be the heart and soul, but I'm the $1 and cents. And
yes, it was a good promo.
It was a good promo.
But it's a really good match, though.
Yeah.
I thought it was
sell out United Center and Madison Square Garden by himself.
Only Jay White has done that.
So. How good is he really?
Yeah. It was Okada that sold out Madison Square Garden.
No, it wasn't. It was Jay White. Gosh,
no, it was Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks.
Because I have not been paying attention.
It's Jay White.
Actually, Paul is right because everyone assumed it was going to be Okada and Omega.
Yep,
and that's when I bought my tickets.
That's what I bought my tickets for.
I had tickets to it too, but ended up having to get rid of them for
Me too.
Other reasons. I wanted to go to that show and I would have gone regardless of them not
Still a
being
good show.
there, but I had
great.
things.
I had so much fun.
I had this match as kind of tied
here.
with the tag team match as my match of the night.
It was a really good match.
It was awesome.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. I kind of thought maybe I wasn't sure because of what happened 2 weeks ago if this match would have gone on as long as it did, if they were going to do Mox winning. I had Mox winning. I thought Mox was still just gonna, because of this. I feel like this rematch. I mean, obviously it's because it got to what happened after the match. But I think that the rematch itself was too soon after. The story I would have liked to have seen. Clearly, again, this was if this person was not going to be here. Was that CM Punk? That's Jon Moxley is the only person who has beaten him clean. And so I thought they were going to do the story where CM Punk would have to prove himself to himself and to his fans, and why he came back. And I thought that if they were going to do that, because he lost so quickly in Cleveland, which obviously goes back to that story of how he just doesn't win in Cleveland, and that they were going to tell the story a little bit longer and not have the rematch so fast. But obviously it was to get to what happened afterwards. So does that, now that we have seen we've seen kind of the full picture, does Jon Moxley winning 2 weeks ago make no sense? Was that kind of a pointless match?
Yes. I disagree. I thought it made sense because especially when it played into the near fall right in the opening of the match, with Punk hitting the.
That is true. Right.
And the reason the crowd bought that and as a near fall was because of what happened on 2 weeks ago. And
right.
And they played into that story. They worked over the ankle, like that was all a part of it. And I liked the story, but I think it should have been stretched out longer. It would have been better if we had 6 weeks instead of 3, and or 2.5, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I do think when they set up the match, they shot 3 weeks worth of angles in one show. And I thought you could stretch that out a little bit, and then also have Punk kind of doubt himself a bit. I would like to see that over 6 weeks.
Yeah, but I would have too.
But I like the squash, and I
like the squash. That. Yeah, I like the squash. I think that had they had more time, like you said, the 6 week, I think that 6 weeks, I think the squash would have made more sense.
The story itself was a good story. It was just told way too fast. That's how I would go with that.
Maybe
I want Jeff's opinion. Yeah,
it's one of those things where the story they told isn't the story people wanted. In a way, Punk has been kind of this living on his laurels type of thing, while everybody else in the company has been calling him a jerk. And the story of the rah-rah, we're Chicago, we're fighters, that's great for 10 years ago, Punk. This one, it should have been an absolute fraud that he was doing all this. And I thought for certain he was going to cheat to win somehow. I thought this was going to be a heel turn.
Yeah, I thought MJF was going to get involved
because
before the casino stuff, like leading into this, I thought MJF was going to get involved and he was going to cost CM Punk the title, and because that was going to be the heel turn.
Yeah, because even in all his matches, I mean, he had the couple matches where it's like, oh look, he has ring rust, and then he gets hurt in certain matches, and he keeps injuring himself in certain matches. It's obvious he doesn't have what he used to have anymore. So now he should just become the craven guy who just wants the title to be the big guy on top. And I'm just like, this is a great story, but they did the earnest turn, and you're just kind of like watching it going, well, so yeah, but was he really better than Moxley? Because Moxley plowed through him in 3 minutes.
And then now we have the maybe the media scrum heel turn.
Yeah,
apparently.
And I there's no way. There is no way MJF is getting booed against him with the way.
No, especially if they're doing.
They got to crown him in Long Island.
Yeah, I think they're doing the. I think they're doing the match at Grand Slam.
Grand Slam,
so, yeah.
which is New York. And I think MJF should win.
I think he's going to be cheered everywhere, though.
And then that's kind of been the thing was before all of this stuff had happened with MJF. It kind of seemed like the layout was. That Paige was obviously going to lose to CM Punk. CM Punk was going to lose it all out to MJF. Yep. Was where we thought this was going, and so we're sort of back on track because we did get the pay. I don't know if you would say the payoff. You got this continuation of the story, I guess I would say here. But then. But yeah, it's very interesting how we got here. But I do I guess because the story is not Jon Moxley and MJF, because then it was almost like, well, why don't you just have Jon Moxley retain? But that's obviously not the story. The story is CM Punk and MJF, and especially because he did the devil, that whole thing. And then actually somebody posted a video in our Slack from Instagram from August of 2021, I believe it was, and he was working out to Sympathy. Why can I think of the name of the title? What is the song that he's doing now?
Sympathy for the Devil?
Sympathy for
yes,
the
thank you. Yes, I was Sympathy for the. I couldn't. I was like Sympathy and Devil, and it just my mind went blank, and I was like, wait, where was I going with this? But yeah, so he was working out to that song. So then, of course, people have found there was the old promo from back in April where AEW had tweeted back in April about him being the devil. So I mean, it's all they
have no sympathy for the devil. Yeah,
and even if this was not the whole plan, because obviously the MJF stuff, I guess, was probably more real. I think so, but I don't think they did all of this to get to this, but they definitely made it work with the old things. But Jeff,
they did. But I mean, I was just thinking about this. What was the whole Ace Steel story? was that a corporate stooge who's a producer took an open contract and kept it for his friend so he could get the title shot. And you're thinking, okay, Ace Steel's gonna have to play some sort of role in it. So I was thinking Money in the Bank 2011 with Vince and Johnny Ace, except with Ace Steel in the Johnny Ace kind of role.
Thank God.
I know, but at the same time, you're just like, wow, they really went with earnest, over the top babyface Punk here, where I don't think people buy him as earnest, over the top. He's
and then
a veteran.
Veteran. You know, and then I think that again, this is maybe why the scrum happened the way that it did, is because they got the heel stuff over there, and then like you said, the MJF is never going to be booed again, or at least not for the time being. He's not going to be booed.
But I think against the right, if it doesn't happen on TV, it doesn't matter. You know, it's one of those things where it happened in the scrum, or that's like saying it happened on BTE. It doesn't matter.
No, but I think enough people, it'll get around enough, and clips will be on Twitter.
Yeah, because I'm already seeing comments from people in my Slack who are buying.
Oh, do you think it's guerrilla marketing? Then it's just
no, but there's there's people who are. It looks like there's people in the Slack who are buying it as him being angry and just being an asshole and not a care.
I just real quick here is that I had this called on our show. Actually, even if Sam remembers, about 2 weeks ago, I said, what if Moxley wins and they go through the whole thing and they do exactly what they did? And it was like, oh, I never thought about that, because to me, it seemed obvious from the beginning that they were going to have him. As soon as Punk was starting to come back, I was like, he's going to win the belt for real. Punk's going to look like a big bad guy. I'm a badass. I can hold my own with Jon Moxley. I'm so cool. He even went so far. I mean, they made it into a Chicago thing, which was way more over the top than I had in my head. But I was at least having him in my brain. He was like, look, I'm playing injured, and I'm tough enough to stand up to Jon Moxley and win the belt from him. And I'm going to do it in my hometown. And so to me, that sort of, I don't know. I never thought it was going to end any other way than it did. Now, as to how it was executed, again, that's like the big, the real finish is the product on TV.
Well, and here's the thing, I
wonder. Actually, obvious to me. I was like, nah, something's happening.
Now, here's a question though, with Stokely. Was this just a one-time thing that he paid him off, like he's paid off other people for one-night things, or is this a stable?
Stoke and MJF have history on the indie scene.
Yes,
I didn't know that. On the indie scene, Stoke managed him.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yes, somebody pointed that out to me tonight. That and then Beyond Wrestling actually also tweeted a picture of the two of them together.
I'm an ROH historian, not a Beyond historian.
And then somebody else said to me that they had kind of an antagonistic relationship, and he said that one time, or she said that Stoke threatened to put MJF in a Falcons jersey and leave him in the middle of New Orleans.
Oh, wow.
Well, remember, MJF also paid for the services of W. Morrissey during
He did.
Thing. So they can play up that connection.
But I don't know about Ethan Page and Lee Moriarty.
Yeah, Ethan Page and the Ass Boys. I mean, all right.
Well, Ethan Page was his I hate this company. I don't, that type of thing. So I think
they'll be good. They'll be good
with MJF.
So that's what I'm saying. I think that's
so
how that.
Explain the Guns and Lee Moriarty. Good luck with that.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll figure. I'm sure they'll figure it out. Stokes not.
I like him. Just I paid him off for one night, and now I don't need you anymore.
Well, that's what Andrade does.
Yeah, because I just think he doesn't need this band of misfits. But
it could be him rebuilding the Pinnacle.
Oh, well, they've made a couple comments about the Pinnacle.
Yeah, but FTR and Wardlow aren't going back with them.
No, and that's right. They've referenced it. Sean Spears was not there tonight. Where is Sean Spears?
Yeah, I mean, they're all baby faces. Why not?
So maybe Sean Spears is. I mean, I'm sure maybe he's.
Here's the thing: MJF will be treated as a babyface by the fans, but he is not a babyface.
Yeah,
he'll be a heel. And Punk will be the babyface, and he will be booed.
It is Bret Hart and Stone Cold.
The irony behind this is it's going to be Cena Punk from 2011, where where Punk was the heel and he got cheered, and Cena was the babyface and got booed. That's what's going to happen, and I think they're going to lean into that by having. I think they're going to lean into it by having MJF win the title, and then he's going to threaten to leave the company in January, like Punk did in Ring of Honor and in WWE. WWE did it.
Probably will.
And,
I can see that happening.
I don't think he's actually leaving. I think
I don't think
I think he has signed a very good extension, but we'll see. Of course, I could be wrong, but I mean that's the direction I think they're going to go, and they're making MJF the Punk of that era, and Punk is now Cena, which is exactly what he hated.
Right. And somebody else had mentioned that a few weeks ago that he's becoming what he hated. And I think that's the point here. This is the
I will say too, when they did the lights out and then they have the Tony Khan voicemail.
That was great.
That was fantastic.
I loved that.
And then they had the overlay of the promo of CM Punk.
From ROH. Yep.
And then MJF finishes the line. Before he comes out,
he put on the scarf, and as the finishing touch, and then I thought that was really well done. I thought
that was fantastic, and I will say this: at the end of this feud, MJF is going to be one of the big stars in wrestling, and Tony Khan, if he has not signed him back, needs to open that pocketbook and sign him. Because
maybe buying him the Rolling Stones theme song seems like a pretty
large
down payment, or at least we want you here.
That's a lot of money to get that.
Yeah, somebody told me that in 2013 for a car commercial to use that song, it was $1.3 million is what the car company
can't be cheap.
So I can only imagine what he's paying.
Minimum six figures for what they did, even if they never play it again.
Yeah, it's like Brock and Enter Sandman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They don't play it on the replays or anything like that because it's too expensive for the live.
Right.
It's why ECW One Night Stand, they got it for the first One Night Stand for Sandman.
Yes.
And then every replay off it since then, it is not there.
Right.
It's like New Japan, where it says that at the top where it says they can't play because of music is not playing because of copyright or whatever it is.
I had to go look up Toby Mugabe's entrance music at one point because I finally was like, I have no idea what his actual entrance music is.
Yes, and it's
Led Zeppelin or something.
Yes,
right?
it's a remix of Led Zeppelin's because he's inspired by Bruiser Brody, and so he's using a remix of Bruiser Brody's theme, a more modern one. But it's the song by Led Zeppelin.
And Zeppelin doesn't allow their stuff to be licensed for that stuff.
Hell no.
No, and even though it's a remix by a Japanese artist.
Well, I just remember that who was it? Big Nog in UWF in UFC wanted to use Cashmere, and they had to use "Come With Me" by the PD with samples. Cashmere.
Yes, yeah.
That makes sense. That's a smart workaround.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah,
that's a very smart workaround.
Is it on Paul's Boutique? Can we get something off of Paul's Boutique? That gives us a lot.
All right. So, do we want to? What are our final thoughts on this pay-per-view?
I thought the good stuff was incredible, and there was some bad stuff as well, but overall, pretty good show.
Yeah, I think the crowd energy turned me off after it dropped off a cliff after the Acclaimed match. And it came back for the main event, and the main event ended strong, which left a good taste in my mouth until I started hearing the stuff from the scrum. And now I got to go watch that stuff.
Now we all have to go watch that shenanigan.
Yeah, I've been watching it. It's incredible.
Because everybody but me is going to have to write an article about it.
and I think it's a mistake to do this because I think you want to remember the pay-per-view as opposed to remember what happened in the press conference after the pay-per-view.
The last thing you want to do is erase the impact of MJF coming out, and they may have done that with the scrum, which is unfortunate. But as far as the pay-per-view goes, I thought it was quite good for most of it. despite some of my criticisms that I've had here, it is not my favorite AEW show by far.
No.
I think someone did a like, what grade would you give it? I'd give it a B. It was a solid B. It was not a bad show by any stretch of the imagination, but it was really hurt by the crowd. And I think if the crowd was into everything the way they probably would normally be for an AEW show, we would be seeing a lot of these even average matches as better than they were.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I didn't think the show was as bad as some people did. It definitely wasn't one of their stronger shows, but it's not bad by any means. But I guess by AEW standards, what we've come to expect. I mean, clearly it was not going to be like last year's All Out. Clearly,
impossible.
like that. Yeah, exactly. That's
That is
impossible.
really-
That's never gonna. That's not gonna happen. So I mean, I don't. I didn't think, I thought it was a solid show. And I think a lot of the booking decisions were correct. I do think that's going to play into Grand Slam because he's talking about making these shows feel bigger and these type of things. He did mention there's going to be more live rampages throughout the rest of the year. Grand Slam Rampage is 2 hours this year again. Which is why another reason I think we're going to see title changes and things like that. I think he's built. It's almost like this was building up to Grand Slam in certain cases for certain matches. And now, like we've seen how the Acclaimed went over, so I would not be surprised to see the Acclaimed win there, even if they're not quite as hot as they would have been tonight for it. I could still see it happening there. And so yeah, it'll be interesting. Like once the rest of the year plays out, and the rest of or even getting to full gear. To see how this show plays into that. But yeah, I definitely don't think this is like a match of the year. I mean, a show of the year type of contender like it was last year.
I feel like I got my money's worth. But
yeah.
So I have no complaints about buying it. I'm completely satisfied with my purchase, but it was not the best AEW show I've ever seen.
Yeah. All right. So I think that pretty much wraps it up, and we got almost 3 hours, so we maybe went longer than the scrum, but we had a lot of things to talk about.
I was going to go to bed 2 hours ago, but you guys coerced me into joining you.
I'm a night owl anyway, but I'm usually in bed by this point, so I'm very glad I'm off tomorrow.
3 a.m. here. Come on now.
Yeah, it's 3.
Yeah, it's getting close.
But yeah, but thank you so much for everybody who thank you.
Yeah,
guys
Josiah, we
for
don't have we didn't have, because you were an unexpected but very welcome guest. We did not have your it was your fault, Paul.
I know.
It was.
When next time you get a guest to crash, give me their info so I can make a banner so people know where to find you.
Well, Sam said, go, bring him on. Like,
oh yeah, because I did.
Yeah.
I jokingly said I'm going to bring him on here so he can read these tweets.
Well, next time, tell me it's a joke.
Distracting me over in the comments.
I'm blaming Paul.
It's fine.
Totally blaming Paul.
I enjoyed it. I think it made the show fun, and it's live streams were unpredictable.
Thanks for sure.
And I thank you all for joining us. Yeah, thank you for joining us, and for the people who stayed and watched the entire thing or popped in, or if you're watching this tomorrow, thank you for hanging out with us. And Powerbombshells will be back next Sunday with episode 29. And we've got, make sure that you're following Fight Game Media. As we say every week, there's a lot of really good content on the Patreon and on the YouTube. People are working very hard to put content out for you. There's good stuff out there. So make sure that you follow us on Fight Game Media on all the social medias, subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you can see Powerbombshells, because as at this time, that is where we are exclusively. We are discussing audio options, so we will have that for you.
These 3 other Yahoos you can listen to on the Patreon as well. So you got to get that $5 a month in there. And I say that as someone who has already paid her $5 a month.
Yes.
And so that I can enjoy these Yahoos as well, because I love them so much. And,
yes. And we thank you for coming on. And I know you guys have your own show that you've got to get to. So I appreciate you taking the time to hop on, and Josiah to hop on last minute and unexpectedly. So we really appreciate that.
But next time, give me a little more warning. And
yeah, we will. We will. Sorry about that.
You can get your honorary Power Bombshell badge.
Yeah, because as we said at the very beginning, Jeff is our honorary Power Bombshell because he was the first. He was our first diversity hire. He was our first diversity hire. He's an official broad.
He's a broad.
Suck it, everybody.
Perfect ending.
Yeah, I think that's where we cut it off.
There's something more to be added.
All right, thank everybody for coming. Big hearts, Paul. Much love, you guys. Thanks for sticking around.